Bobby Roast Beef back here with some jigs and bigs goodness. Guys, we got an amazing show lined up for you. All kinds of good stuff. We have news out of Michigan about an FTG that's going to piss you guys off, especially if you're in the competitive fishing space. This is a real pisser, too. I got multiple messages about this son of a bitch. We also have some stuff to talk about in Gear of the Week this week. We're going to talk about a fun little plastic that I got to experiment with just this week, and I think it's pretty amazing. Came from a Dark Horse tackle box, too. We also have Who the Fuck is Joe Brown in the house, back from his giant outing in Georgia. We're going to hear all about what happened on West Point Lake. How did it go for him? How many catfish did he catch? We'll get all those details. And this week, in the beef seat, this was bound to happen. I knew it was going to happen someday. I'm so glad that it finally did. We got the one and only Jose Cinco. Although you might know him better as Bait and Bougie on Instagram. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. We're going to get to know him as an angler, as an influencer, and also, like, what's his role in the industry. Guys, you don't want to miss out. We got much more jigs and bigs coming up right after this.
De Mayo, everybody.
It is Cinco de Mayo, and we had Taco Monday tonight. We ordered some carnitas tacos, and I am drinking a little lime margarita Cutwater as I record the show with Joe. And I got to tell you, dude, I'm like 3 sips into this, and I'm pretty sure this is replacing all the beverages now that would normally be in the cooler for my beer, my ramp beers afterwards.
Right. The Cutwaters they're great, dude, but they are so dangerous.
And I'm thinking,
so
like,
dangerous.
If you're gonna have one, it's a good move, you know?
Yeah. So let me ask you this about that. I haven't had the lime margarita one.
Yep.
Is it Heartburn City?
Not really. It's really not. Is it? I know what you mean, like the citrus with the acid and stuff. Yeah. The lime is very much like in the background. It's not like taking a big slug of lime juice or something like that.
Yeah. So I had I forget, I was at an event. Actually, I might have just been at work. Who knows? But I had the spicy margarita, or I'm sorry, the spicy Bloody Mary one.
Oh. And that was
heartburn.
Yeah, but wicked heartburn.
But heartburn, dude,
really?
It's so bad. But they were tasty.
Man, that might be the thing right there, because it's nice. There's no carbon. I don't know if you guys realize this about Bobby Roast Beef, but he's actually making attempts to, streamline a little bit. So this might play very well. Although at 12.9%, that can't be too much calorie deficient. Probably a little bit better than, say, drinking like some of those tall boy IPAs that I like so much. Yeah. All my BFS fishing and everything. Jesus Christ. Yep. Joe, how's it feel to be back in New England soil?
Oh, it's good. Yeah. It's good. It's good to be back. Good to be back home, sleeping in my own bed.
That's good.
After being on the road for it was like 9 days or something. It's good, man. The icons in the driveway. She still needs to be cleaned up, it was good, dude. Taylor and I drove straight. We didn't stop. We only stopped to like piss and get gas on the way back. We just kept swapping.
That sounds highly incriminating right there.
Yeah. We went straight to Pennsylvania to his house. That was like 13 hours, something like that.
Oh yeah.
And then I did so I was like 13, 14 hours, and then dropped him off, said see ya, and I did the other 4.5 home. So
that's not too bad then. Yeah, that's cool.
No, we left at 4:00 on Friday, like literally right after the tournament. Yeah. And we got home. I got home at 10:30 on Saturday, 10:30 in the morning.
Huh. That is nuts. So, I'm getting a message here. Two things from Jay Manning. First, he says, Bobby, you sound a bit quieter than Joe, FYI. Yeah, I'm not 100% entirely sure what the reason is for that. I was kind of waiting for somebody to mention it. I'm going to live adjust my audio for the for the stream. This won't affect the podcast at all, but I'm going to go ahead and bump this up like to here. And I have a little bit more room if I need more to go, but we'll see what's up. He also says, he comments, again, this is having to do with my beverage choice. He goes, I'm allergic to tequila. Every time I break out in it, every time I drink it, I break out in handcuffs. Which is, that's pretty badass. And I mean, these things happen. Absolutely. They always happen. We got Metal Jones in the house too with us. Zach from Dark Horse enjoying his, I'm sure he's celebrating right now. Cinco de Mayo, probably packing boxes or making labels or,
drinking gin. Yeah,
probably drinking gin. Dude. So why don't we, we have a shit ton that we need to go over. Actually, before we go over our weeks, let's go ahead and do this. And I've been trying to get better about doing this on shows every so often, just so we can kind of capture that snapshot of what the show is all about for any new listeners that are coming across. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit, guys. We have stuff that you got to know about. Yes, Jigs and Bigs is a fishing podcast, and we cover a lot of different topics, and we lean heavily toward the entertainment side of it. Yes, we're going to give you news and updates on stuff that's worth talking about. We're going to obviously share our opinions and have conversations. We're also going to give out some tips and some tactics along the way to kind of give you some nuggets of information to help build value in the podcast. That's what we do. But we're mainly here to provide you guys a sense of like connectivity and community, in the fishing world. And that's kind of a big deal for us. But we're all over social media. You can find everything Jigs and Bigs. Look at Jigs and Bigs on Instagram, we're on TikTok. I'm not super active there. We are also on Facebook. Our Facebook page is just popping. Like, we have people following all over the place over there. So follow us somewhere. Get involved. Joe is American Vet Fishing on everything, all those platforms. And we both have YouTube channels as well. Go ahead, give us a like and a subscribe there. We're going to talk about our YouTube channels in a sec, Joe, because you dropped a video last night. I got the notification on my ride home that it was premiering at like midnight. And I'm like,
my ass ain't staying up late for that. I just can't handle it.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
But it was the first piece of fishing content that I consumed this morning, while I had my breakfast and got ready for the interview, because I just recorded with Jose this morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm dying to check this out. And I got to tell you, Joe, I love where we are going as video content creators. I love it. We're very much in different lanes, but I think we're flourishing in them,
Yeah, I agree. I was really happy about that one. Just the editing, the tunes in it, like just the ambiance.
Yes.
And I was really happy with that one.
Absolutely. I also love the fact that there's all the footage of the whopping and the plopping,
Lots of whopping and
plopping. And I am all about it. Like, our camera, I love it. Our camera angles are different. Our aesthetics are a little bit different. Like, we do different shit. But you know what's awesome? It all comes together in this weird sort of like Oreo cookie sandwich that's like perfect. It's awesome. Yeah. I just fucking love it. So, give us a follow, folks. Of course, you can go to jigsandbigs.com and do a handful of different things here. Yes, that site is wicked outdated, and I have to update that. And I keep saying I'm going to every single 6 months, and it always gets pushed to the back burner. But there is information about the show. If you want to reach out, and find information about the show, check out back episodes. If you don't have a particular podcast platform you like to listen to, you can check that out there. But the most important thing there is, if you really dig the show, you want to show a little bit of support, we've got merch available at jigsandbigs.com. We got t-shirts, hoodies, hats, all kinds of stuff, logo designs, some specialty humorous designs too. We have stickers. That's the biggest question people ask me all the time. They're like, do you guys have any stickers? Yes, they're on the show. You can get them in 3 different sizes. And you also can get, if you're interested in putting something on your vehicle, on your car, your truck, your SUV, your Model A. I don't know how you people get around, but whatever it is, you can get these magnetic stickers that just pop right on. And I've had one on my truck for over a year now, and it hasn't budged, like in the car wash, in crazy storms, long trips. I haven't lost it. It's great. So I can speak that they are pretty solid. Oh, we got Jose's in the house with us. He says, what's up? Good to have you here, buddy. Good to have you, dude. We have some other stuff that we do that makes Jigs and Bigs very interesting. First and foremost, these folks that you hear us mentioning, they're all of our jig heads. This is our Patreon following. It's like the closest community that Jigs and Bigs has. That's our jig heads right here. So they're watching this absolute shit show of a live stream happen, and we are recording it so that I can polish this turd and deliver to you the most amazing audio platform podcast that's possible. So if you hear us mention some names or something like that, or if you're interested in becoming a jig head to engage with us as we record, then go ahead and just go over to Patreon and look up Jigs and Bigs. You can sign up right there. It's $5 a month. It goes directly to help the show out. And if you want to try it before you buy it, go visit it. And you can always, when we're doing one of these recordings, and they usually lately happen on Mondays, but it's usually a Sunday or a Monday that we record. If there's a link there, you can purchase a one-time to go in. And the lowest price I'm able to put it at is $3. That's the lowest Instagram or Patreon will allow me to do that. So that's where that is. The final thing I don't want to talk about what makes Jigs and Bigs so unique is that we run what is becoming a very diverse lineup of online tournaments. Like, we're an online tournament trail. We have one of the most innovative tournaments that's out there, and that is the monthly multi-species scavenger hunt style tournament. Every single month, it starts in April, goes to October, and you basically get the length of that month to fish for as many different species as are on the list. There's 22 or 23, and you get a point per one that's on there. And that is a great way to learn how to do a catch photo release type tournament. It's a great way to get into it without like a lot of super pressure. It's very welcoming. It's a whole lot of fun. The judging is a little bit more loose there. It's more about the diversity of the fish that you're catching. That's what we sort of focus on. But on top of that, it's a great way to kind of dip your toe in and have a part of what's going on and have some fun. You want to elevate that to another level. Twice a year, we do a open series where the price tag goes up a little bit. It's a little bit more of a serious thing, and that's a qualifying tournament. And that's so that you can get into the championship. Once a year in the spring, we will be having a championship that's going to kick off in 2026 in May. And anybody who has entered an open, whether they win, lose, however they place, as long as they've entered an open, they qualify for the championship, at least going into this first year. So should be really, really exciting. And then I would say probably the more popular tournament series is our slot limit bass tournament series. The slot limit tournament series levels the playing field for bass anglers all around the country. And this, I say all around the country, it's even beyond that, all around North America, because we include our Canadian friends and Mexican friends as well. Anywhere in North America, if you're fishing for largemouth and you're catching what we affectionately call
average sized fish,
you can catch fish between 12 and 17 inches, and it's a battle of inches. You know, you're just trying to catch as many within that slot as you possibly can. We have a good time over there, and these are generally affordable tournaments to get into, low stakes, nothing crazy. It's a whole lot of fun, but again, it's more about community than anything, and you know, we are sort of all about that stuff. So that's what Jigs and Bigs is. We're more than just a podcast. We're our own little, you know, community of whack jobs that like this sport of chasing creatures with gills, you know, and occasionally chasing like a turtle. That'll happen too. That'll happen too. Man,
turtle.
why don't we dive into our weeks? We'll cover that, Joe. Let's do it. I think everybody is probably more interested in your week. Why don't you go ahead and get started?
Yeah.
West Point
so
Lake.
I'm going to go right from the beginning.
Yes.
I may have mentioned some stuff on the show last week, maybe not. I was smoked, so I don't know. I don't remember, but
you were burnt, man, last time. You were like,
oh yeah, dude. So it's 6 straight days of 8+ hour days in the water, like straight. So, but yeah,
it's
dude.
amazing,
So
right?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so it's funny on the ride home. Taylor's like, because so on the route that you go from in Georgia to his house, we go right over Hartwell, and he's like, "You want to splash in Hartwell real quick?" Dude, I was like, I do. I was like, but I'm so smoked. I just want to get home. But yeah, no. So the drive down there, dude. Drive down there was good. I stopped in Pennsylvania. I picked up Taylor's stuff for him, his rods, his gear, whatever. We tossed it in the boat. So, because he was flying down, he wanted to travel as light as possible. So I did that. I got there. I traveled, I did like 10 hours that first day, and about 8.5 hours into the trip, it's dark out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm cruising, and I have these cool lights on the trailer that illuminates, the word icon on the side of it. And I'm driving, I look at my rear view, and I'm like,
you don't see him?
I don't see that. It's pitch dark out. So I'm like, oh my God, my trailer lights aren't working. So I pull over a side of the highway, dude. And I go back and it's the first thing you're like, all right, I'm just going to jiggle the plug. Dude, the plug wasn't even plugged in all the way. So I just like
I've done that.
Clicked it back in, and then everything lit up. But dude, I drove 8.5 hours with no trailer lights.
Yeah.
Like through multiple states.
Isn't it amazing how few people actually give, like, either they don't give a shit or they're just not paying attention? Because I drove from here to Michigan and back with no license plate on the back of my trailer.
Yep. So so I do that. I get down to and again, I say any of this stuff, I'm sorry if I said it last week. I don't even remember what I said, but so we fixed the lights. I stopped in Virginia. I stopped in a Quality. It was a Quality in Virginia. Cool place. It was like, I can't remember the town, but it was kind of like in the battlefield areas, the Civil War battlefield. It was like a real old building. The absolute worst hotel motel bed I've ever slept on.
Dude, I have a saying about Quality Inns.
The quality's on the side. It ain't in the room.
Yes. Yeah. So, and, it's cheap. So Joe figured a little something out, and we'll get back to the Quality Inn thing.
Okay.
So I stay there. I get up. I slept in a little bit. I slept until 7:30, 8 o'clock. Took a shower. Hit the road again. Took me probably another 8 hours or so. To get to Georgia from there. Go straight to that motel, we're gonna call it, and also, and I didn't realize this, also a Quality Inn. So I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, the fucking bed better not be like that last one. I was like, otherwise I'm canceling my reservation and not staying here.
Oh yeah.
So I get in the room. I finally get in the room. First thing I do is I lay on the bed. It's okay. It's not the best. Sure as shit isn't as bad as that.
It's an improvement. Good, good.
It's an improvement. Tolerable. Definitely tolerable. I've slept on much worse. So I was like, okay, we got this. And so whatever. And also they had an issue that like their system was down. So they ended up swiping my credit card like 4 fucking times. And I ended up getting a fraud alert. So I had to like turn my credit card back on after like, oh dude, it was a mess. And then dude, she swipes it 5th time. She's like, oh, it's saying declined. I was like, yeah, no shit. As my phone's blowing up with I was like, of course it is.
Would you like to report an incident?
Yeah. So like, so I end up just using my fucking bank card. I was like, just take my bank card. Like, and just swipe it once, please. Because I use the American Express for my credit card for the points, for the travel points and stuff.
Don't leave home without it.
Yeah, so I didn't get those points because I had to put it on my bank card, but because they shut my American Express off, that I couldn't turn on until the next day. But so first thing I do is I go into my room, and about 3 rooms down, there's this guy, right? Wicked nice gentleman. He's like, oh, that's an awesome boat, whatever. Da, da, da. It's like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And then I realize every time I go outside or whatever, he's just sitting at his door with the door open. With the door open, I'm like, oh, he must just kind of hang out outside all the time. And then I realized that dude is slinging some dope right there in the hotel. And here was the dead giveaway. And I told you this, Bobby. I can't remember if I said it on the show or not. So I'm sitting on the boat retying some stuff. And if I'm repeating this, everyone, I apologize. So I'm sitting on the boat retying. And like this minivan comes up with I believe it was Papa John's sign on the top. I was like, oh, my boy down at the end there is getting some pizza. So the guy gets out with the pizza, The guy greets him at the door, or he's already outside. He's like, yeah, come on in. And he comes in, he goes into the room, they shut the door. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. I figured they could just kind of And this is where it was all coming together.
To click,
yeah. And, dude, they're in there for like 5 minutes, dude. And then the door opens, the pizza guy comes out, still holding the fucking pizza. Like he still has the fucking pizza. Gets back his van, puts the pizza in and leaves. I was like, oh yeah, this dude's straight up just slinging dope out of this room because there's people going there all day. And let's just say I'm glad I travel with my pew pew all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. You never know.
Yeah, but so that was kind of fun. Driving through Atlanta was an absolute fucking disaster. That place is absolute trash. Not so much trash, but it's just like that 6-lane highway, dude. And there's no rules. Yeah. There's no there's not many places I'm nervous about driving in. That one made my butthole pucker a little bit.
I have heard people compare Atlanta to being LA on the East Coast.
Yeah, I could see
like
that.
It's just insanity.
Dude, it's just like motorcycles weaving in and out, cars weaving in and out. Like I'm just like,
and when you're towing, like you're afraid to change the lane.
Much worse.
Yeah,
exactly. It's that much worse. And so, and I knew I was like, no matter what, I was going to have to go back through when I left. But so that was day one. I get up pretty early. I had 3 days of practice. First, basically 2.5 days by myself because Taylor wasn't coming in until practice day 3, but not until like noontime.
Yeah.
And so day one practice, just trying to find them. I did a lot of like side scanning, stuff like that. And I realized that, dude, they're kind of on the top water bite. So I started throwing a plopper, dude, and I started hitting fish, like quite a few fish. But dude, they're all so small.
Yeah.
So small, like 1 pound fish. And
tough.
And that's all I caught all day. I caught a ton of fish, dude. And I caught most of them on top water. I caught, I think, maybe one on crankbait. I think a couple on wacky rigs, or Nico rig. And then, it's like day one, like again, I was just kind of looking for spots and I'm like, okay. I was like, they're up shallow. I was like, there's got to be bigger fish in here. like these 1.5 pound spotted bass just aren't going to do it for me. So I end up going. I load back up that day, put in a solid 8 hours. I load back up, a couple of old timers up there that were there for the same tournament.
Yep.
And they're telling me like, oh, what'd you think of the lake? I was like, I can only find the small ones. They're like, oh no, that's all you get out of this lake. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
They're like, they're like, why do you think they don't have like MLF or BASS here anymore? It's like, it's full of 1 to 2 pound spots and like the occasional like 3-4 pound like largemouth. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, are you kidding me right now? They're like, nope. And they're like, and here's the other thing about this place. He's like, wherever you found them today, we promise they won't be there tomorrow and they won't be hitting on the same baits. Boy, were they right.
Because
I
counted. That sucks.
Day two, I'm trying the same techniques, dude, and I wasn't getting shit. I caught, man, I think I did like 6 or 7 hours that day. I only caught like 3 fish the whole day. A couple on cranks, and I think the other one I pulled off a lay down with Demiki, and that was it, dude. And I'm like none of them hit top water. They weren't hitting the wacky, none of the stuff I had used day one.
Did was there a change in conditions or anything? Like anything that would give you a tip that
nothing,
it would have,
dude.
Really?
Nothing.
They were just picky.
It was literally the exact same water temp, pretty much the same air temp. Same, partial cloud cover.
Really?
It was literally the exact same day as the day before.
Wow. Ain't that a bitch?
Oh, dude, it was. So, and I got that all on it. That's you see a bunch of that on the YouTube video. Yeah. Day three, I forget my cameras. First off,
Yep.
my camera bag. Forget my camera bag. Left it at the hotel, and the hotel is kind of a pain in the dick to get in with the boat.
So it's not something you want to do again.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I was like, and again, the traffic was kind of wild on the main road that you go to get to the lake. So it was like a 20-minute ride from the hotel. That was like the closest one. And I was like, no. I was like, it's only practice, like whatever. And so I go. That day, it kind of it was kind of like day one again, where they started to hit like top water again. And I got a couple on the wacky, but again, it's just the biggest fish I caught during practice was 1 pound, 14 ounces. Biggest fish I caught.
Holy shit, dude. Okay.
Biggest fish I caught, dude. They were all 1 to like 1 pound, like 5 ounces. And I was like, what the F, dude? I was like, and I was doing my best 5. My best 5 was coming out to like 6 pounds, dude.
Oh my God.
Like 5-6 pounds. I'm like, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
And I had told those old guys, like, yeah, I only brought like 5-6 pounds. They're like, oh, you'll be in good shape. I was like, what?
That's insane,
I was like,
dude.
I was like, if I came into my local tournaments up in Massachusetts with 5 or 6 pounds, I'd be getting my teeth kicked in the rankings, And so that was that. And so day 3 was a little bit better. We came at, I need to talk day 2. Day 2, when I'm at the boat ramp. Let's talk about some boat ramp shenanigans, Bobby.
Love that stuff.
Day 2 was full of them. So on day 2 in the morning, there's quite a few boats. Huge dock, you know what I mean? Or, for our standards, you could probably fit 25 boats on this thing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And there's probably like 5 or 6 boats out there. A couple of us shooting the shit as I was getting ready to take off. And there's this guy bringing down this probably like 14, 15 foot center console, and he's coming down the ramp, huge ramp. It's six lanes. 6 or 8 lanes, so it's like launching boats happens fast, so it's great for that. This dude's rolling down, and out of the corner of my eye, like everyone kind of looked over, and we just see the boat come right off the trailer, dude, smash on the pavement, and just on the pavement, like crooked. And he comes out, and dude, I give props to this guy. Like you can't even make this guy like an FTG or anything.
No, yeah.
Because he gets out, and I would have been swearing. I would have been like, motherfucker. I would have been embarrassed. This guy's like, oh, man, that don't happen every day. He's like laughing. He's like, oh,
gotta
boy.
fucking love the South, man. Wow.
He's like, I hope my day gets better after this. So he's like, man, what do I do? And we're like, the only thing you can do now is just push it, dude. Push it the rest of the way in. I was like, that thing's going to be too heavy for any of us, the winch or whatever. We don't have that capability. So it got pushed in. He looks at it for like a split second, fires it up, dude. He's like, all right. He's like, going to catch him. He's like, y'all have a good day. I was like, oh my God. I was like, that dude's the man.
He's fucking epic.
So that was the morning. So the afternoon, I pull up to the same ramp, and I look, and there's another center console. This one's a bit bigger. This is like a 20-footer, 22-footer. A gentleman it was his first boat ever, which that's a big boat, be your first boat ever.
Yeah, it is.
It was only like his first send in it.
Oh, man.
You could tell he was very green, very green. And I look as I'm pulling up, dude, and it is very obvious that boat is taking on water fast.
Oh, yeah.
Taking on water fast.
He was that green.
And and I go, like, me and another guy, like, hey, like, dude, your boat's sinking. Like, it was sinking. It wasn't just, it was sinking, Bobby. Like, the water was about to come up over the gunnels.
Holy shit.
And we go, dude, you got to turn the bilge on, like, fast. He's like, didn't even know what that was when we told him that.
Oh my God.
So luckily, like, he didn't. Oh, dude. He goes to get on the ramp. He's panicking, dude. He hit his prop off the boat ramp like 1,000 times, just like ding, 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 just trying to get on the ramp. The truck was underpowered they finally got on the trailer. The truck was underpowered, dude. It literally was a C word hair away from going over the gunnels by the time they got it over there. He gets it up and turns out that he had put the drain plug into the live well recirculation spot. Yeah.
That's rough.
So he did that. A lot of people helped him. They were super thankful for that. Anyway, so
Javi says, "Isn't this last week's episode?"
I apologize, Javi. I couldn't remember what I said last time. So maybe I did. Bob, you should just cut me off. I already told these stories.
It's all good. It's because honestly, I'm a little bit slow, and I'm like, you're getting halfway through, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember this.
But it's like I tell you everything on the side too. So it's like then I'm like, whatever. Dude, I thought I was nah, dude, you're good. My apologies. So all right. So anyway, let's talk the tournament. I didn't talk the tournament yet because the tournament hadn't started when we talked. I was just pre-fishing. So Taylor and I, tournament, dude. There's going to be so many funny bloopers on this YouTube
awesome.
Thing. Oh, there's just some funny little ones. You know what I mean?
Perfect, dude.
But we had a blast. So. Day one, it's the same thing, dude. Just small fish, just all, I caught, Taylor was having a tough time, because he didn't get to practice. So he's still trying to figure out these spots or whatever, the way he, the presentation's a little bit different or whatever. So long story short, we did okay. We ended up not okay, but we ended up with, I think it was 7 pounds. Right. Day one.
Really?
And I was like, all right. I was like, well, that's better than I was getting pre-fishing. I was like, so we're getting somewhere. Biggest bet. So I'm like, again, I 7 pounds. I'm like, dude, I'm going to get my teeth. We're going to get our teeth kicked in. Dude, biggest bag was 11. And these are dudes that fish this lake and are local to this lake. They're like, no. They're like 7 pounds, a good bag here. I'm like, oh my God.
That's insane to me, dude. How can that? Holy shit.
Dude,
so
and I want to do some research behind the science of why the fuck that place is so fucked up when it comes to size.
How did you guys end up in the standings? Whereabout did you place with 7?
Oh shit. We were in the middle of the pack, dude. Middle of the pack, but
still, yeah.
If we had caught one that was 3 ounces more, it would have brought us up 10 spots because everyone's was just so close.
Yeah.
It was so close. God. You could go if you had
super anxiety too, because when that going in and you pre-fished and you're you've got an idea that this is kind of how this place works.
Yep.
Fuck, it really is down to the fucking fraction of an ounce.
Yeah, dude. So one cool thing about this is I'm kind of embarrassed to say it. I really kind of figured out my live scope.
Yeah,
day one of that tournament.
Good.
Here's why.
Good. Nice.
I was all I did, I was like, man, it's Taylor said, he's like, dude, it's kind of hard to see the fish with the sun and the palette you have. Dude, I changed a different palette and it's so crazy how much better you could see fish on the bottom, which is key. I couldn't see the fish on the bottom with the palette I was at accurately or good enough. And so now, and this is, that might have been day 2, but this is going to come into play day 3. So day 2, we kind of figured that out. So day 2, it was a multi-species day. All of a sudden it was because all the bass are doing something different. So, I mean, I caught my first landlocked striper that day on a Demiki rig. Taylor caught a blue cat that day. He had a gar, a big ass. I mean, I'm talking probably a 30-inch gar, dude.
Oh shit. Okay.
Dude, that's comes, cool. He's chasing his chatterbait and he's like, I'm like, dude, hurry up. I don't want that thing in my body. I don't know what the fuck to do with a gar. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. So I went to, Zach, I went to the Rusted Steel. You'll see it. You'll see it up in St. Lawrence. It's crazy difference. But I was amber before, and I was green on the 360, and I changed them up. The 360 I keep amber, but so dude, he just misses that gar. I was like, dude, you can't catch it. Like it's like, and it's very slow. He's like kind of teasing it with his chatterbait. I was like, dude, get that thing in. Like, we can't have that thing on the boat. Day 2, unfortunately, I forgot the camera bag again because I'm a fucking degenerate. Like, I was like tired and whatever, and I was like, we're not going back. I was like, dude, we were catching 1 pound of fish. It's not gonna be a big deal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big deal because day 2 was not good for us. We put 3 fish in the box in like 35 minutes.
Oh, that they just shut off for you.
They didn't shut off. The ones that I caught 2 largemouth. Okay. 13.5 inches. It's 14 minimum there.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, it's 14 minimum there. 12 for the spots, 14 for the largemouth. So dude, we only brought in 3 fish. So that 3 fish for like 3.5 pounds. And so that brought us down quite a bit in the tournament.
Yeah.
I think we were sitting at like 51st or something like that.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And or something like that. And so day three, they were biting, dude. Day 3, they were biting. We got 2 in the box. I got 2 in the box like immediately, dude. And then we're kind of like, in that whole night, like the night before, Taylor and I are talking. We're like, there's bigger. We know there's at least a little bit bigger of at least spots in here. He's like, what are they? I was like, because we noticed that the beds are empty. We finally found beds. They're all empty. It's very post spawn there. And I go, they're deep, dude. I was like, they're on ledges. They have to be on ledges. I was like, that's my guess. So we get a couple quick ones off of shallow water. A lot of shoals there. I love fishing shoals. I learned to fish. I learned to love fishing shoals both at Hartwell and St. Lawrence River. We find a good shoal. What's that?
I was going to say, explain what a shoal is for the listener if they're unfamiliar.
Yeah, so it's basically it's just essentially an extremely shallow part, and it could be like in the middle of the lake. It's just it's not like near the bank. They're typically they're typically rocky.
Yep.
Those big lakes, they are rocky because they're different from like a sand. They're not a sandbar. But yeah, so like these southern lakes, they mark all the shoals. There's a ton of them. They'll be on your map as long as you have good mapping. Yep. They have like giant poles that are marked like shoal, like don't go over here. And it's basically just a more shallow hump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So just like it's a hump.
Yep.
But it's it tends to be a lot more bigger, and it tends to be a little bit more. It can be a little bit more shallow in spots, rocky. We tend to, because we don't have big shoals up here anywhere really.
We call everything a hump.
It's our hump, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, so we catch those. I go, and this is where I discovered kind of the electronics. We go out to that deeper water. The shoal ledges, the ledges off the shoals where it meets that deeper. And we're looking at it, and I go, those are 2 fish right there. And he's like, yep, I think you're right. He throws out, he goes, I'm going to my bread and butter. His bread and butter is fucking drop shot, dude. So he goes drop shot with a Gadsden, with the Fish or Die Gadsden, dude.
Yep.
First cast, 2.5 pounder.
Nice. Excellent,
off the shoal.
Yes.
Yep. 2.5 pounder. So I go, dude, did we just figure something out? He's like, well, hold on, let's make sure. Yeah. And like, dude, we end up taking 3 off of that shoal that were like in the 1.5 to 2 pound range. So they're not the 3 pounders that people talk about there, but they were, they're much better fish than we had been catching. Mm-hmm. And dude, that's what we did all day. We were culling all day.
That's great. Yeah.
Still small fish, but like I said, that first day, the bag was 11 pounds.
Yep.
We ended up finishing that day with 10.
All right. That's a big improvement.
So it's a big improvement. So unfortunately, we figured it out a little too late. I think we would have been. If we had figured that out day one, I think we would have been in the money for the. Awesome. And hindsight's 2020. I get it. Like coulda, woulda, shoulda. But don't forget, you got two northerners up there that fucking. I'm going from pre-spawn, like very pre-spawn fishing, to very post-spawn fishing, and let us not forget, I'm in a big series tournament, so I can't go into a bait shop and be like, hey, what part of the spawn are they in? Like it's the no information rule. I have to abide by the no information rule, so it's me just figuring everything out myself. So I found out day 3 of the tournament that they were back out deep, the mamas. And, so we ended up finishing that. And I believe we ended up finished like 34th altogether. So we went way up like from that bag, but dude, we had a blast. It was such a good time. Such a good, like we met a ton of, like, again, this is the military team tournament. So, I mean, you have everything from like, Taylor and I were probably some of the youngest guys there, believe it or not. And I'm fucking 40. Taylor's like 33, 32.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many, like, dude, Vietnam vets, like, dude, there's a couple like Navy SEALs in there fishing, like old retired Navy SEALs. We just met a lot of great people.
Yep. That's awesome.
I don't think they'll have it there again because people were very vocal about like, why was like we usually fish like Wheeler or like Gunnersville. Like why did you pick this? A lot of it had to do with the fact that do you remember like the hurricanes and floods and shit that went through North Carolina last year?
Yeah,
end of last year.
Yep.
So much shit got like rescheduled and fucked up because of that they're still kind of feeling the pain from it, and that's kind of why West Point was picked.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so next year, I will love to do it again next year. Taylor and I had a blast. Hopefully it's at a better lake. They don't know what lake it's going to be at yet. Yeah, dude. So ride back was fairly uneventful. Just the fucking an hour of sleep here and there. Like if I even slept, I was dude. I hope my sister doesn't listen to this and not watching. So I forgot my sister's gender reveal party was Saturday. So they were like planning on like just FaceTiming me while I'm driving, and I get home and Meg's like, why are you home so early? I'm like, because I missed you guys. I wanted to see you guys. She's like, you're gonna have to go to your sister's gender reveal now. I was like, fuck. And she had already told me because she knew I wasn't going to be there. She was excited, so she told me.
Gotcha.
My sister Kimmy's having a girl, by the way, everybody, which is amazing, awesome, super excited because due to some medical issues, she was under the impression she could not have children.
Gotcha.
So this was a huge surprise. This is awesome. Happy for them.
That's
Still
awesome,
can't
dude.
see
Congrats.
her as a mom. I still can't see her as a mom, and I'm still not convinced.
At your birthday party, yep.
Yeah. And I'm still not. I know she's married to this dude who's awesome. Her husband's awesome, but I'm still not completely convinced that my sister's not a lesbian. I don't care. Like I don't care what anyone says. I'm still not convinced. So that was my West Point fishing trip, dude. I had a blast. The drive sucks, but it is what it is. I just listened to a bunch of like podcasts and friggin' books and all that junk. So yeah,
that's awesome, dude.
That was my week, Bobby. Sorry, Javi, that you guys heard half it twice.
Dude, I think that is such a great, like, and you're right. Like a drive of that length, especially, like you get over 8 or 10 hours and it becomes like, oh, this is a thing. You know what
dude, I mean? 8 to 10 is by far my max typically. And the only reason why we went straight through
because you were
on the
way
back,
switch.
There's two of us.
Let me ask you this.
Yep.
Taylor is a solid dude. How did you feel about someone else driving your truck while towing a boat? Were you nervous?
So there was a test. No. And here's why.
Okay.
He's like, dude, you want me to go grab the truck? So usually someone who's not comfortable, like if you have him as a partner, they wouldn't even offer.
Yep.
And he's like, and I know he has a boat and everything.
Yeah.
And and I saw him like back up. I was like, oh, dude, he's money. I was like, so I was good. Like they wouldn't even offer if they weren't comfortable. And dude, that's it's a big truck. It's a long boat. Like it's a rig. You know what I mean? Yep. And but he so funny. I'll see if I can bring up the picture here. So I did from 4 to 11 p.m. So 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. And he did like the overnight. He did 11 to like 4:30. And I had to take a stop and piss. And he never been to Hartwell or anything. He's like a big fan of Hartwell. Always wanted to do it. So I'm hoping you see this. So I'm at a rest stop, dude, that just so happens to be on Hartwell. And I sent him this like after I dropped him off, after I was home. I was like, hey, dude, I forgot to tell you, I got this picture of you with Lake Hartwell.
That's fucking...
So that's Lake Hartwell in the background. That's him just racked out in the passenger seat. I was like, dude, I almost took the cover off the boat and walked down to go fishing while you were snoozing.
Oh, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah, so had a blast. Taylor and I had a good dude. We like bonded that whole time.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously we're in the same room. Like I got a double. The one thing I learned after that quality in, dude.
Yep.
So I'm a big proponent of I will keep the do not disturb sign on unless I like absolutely need towels or something. Sure. I can make my own bed. I can clean up my own room. I just get kind of like skeevy about people being in my room that I don't know.
Yeah.
So I apparently they're opposite because they come in and clean your room when you have the do not disturb sign on.
Yep.
But when you take it off, they don't come back in. So it was very confusing. So I had to go buy my own shampoo because like the shampoo on there that they usually was out, and I asked them to refill it, and she gave me a bottle this big. And yeah, dude, it was they were terrible there. They fucked up my credit card. Thank God that's back.
Yep.
But I decided that I am not getting the cheapest hotel anymore.
Yes, smart.
I'm not doing it anymore. I told Meg, she's like, no, I'm good with that. I was because obviously with the credit card thing, she's like, oh my God, hopefully. And I still have to keep checking to make sure they didn't
make sure. Yeah.
The purchases didn't go through like days later and they just put $2,000 on my card or something,
Yeah.
So. But yeah, dude, Taylor and I had a great time. He's such an awesome dude. Talked a lot of like business, like, he really gave me some insight into fish or die, like kind of like awesome stuff I hadn't known before. Kind of like where it was in its infancy and where it is now and where it's going. And that was real cool. And we're just boys now. Like we've been boys, but like now we're boys. You know what I mean?
Like that. Yeah, it's concrete,
dude.
100%.
Yep.
100%, dude. I agree.
Had a blast, dude. And I'm hoping we get to do it again next year.
That's all. I'm sure you will, man. That is absolutely badass though, dude. So my week was interesting, man. Last Monday, yeah, we recorded the show, got that edited, got it all sent out. Tuesday, I had a doctor's appointment, had to hit up, and so full transparency, I had a doctor's appointment back in March, and just a regular checkup, and Bobby Roast Beef has been. He's got some pretty high blood pressure. He should be on some medication. And the doctor was like, look, I don't want to put you on any meds if I can avoid it. And I think that if you could trim some weight, you would do a little bit better, and you'd be in a much better situation, could drop that blood pressure to like a way more stable level, a way more normal level. And I said, all right, let's do it. So I got my ass in gear and started doing it. Well, I had the follow-up appointment. This was this last week. And due to, making some adjustments and some changes and stuff like that, I have taken a little bit of weight off, but my blood pressure has gone down significantly since where it was before, which is fucking awesome. Step in the right direction. Still a long way to go. Like I'm not fucking, anywhere near the end of the race yet, but pretty good stuff. So I figured getting that good news, I would go out and just do a quick little bank send. I had my morning beforehand, took care of the dogs, had them in their crates. So I grabbed my BFS gear and I went to a spot where I just wanted to throw around some baits. And man, I got a skunk there. No good. So then Wednesday, I hit another bank sesh on my way to go and pick up my youngest at the bus stop. I had a few hours beforehand with nothing going on. I was like, I'm going to crate the dogs. I'm going to go do my run around, get all that stuff done. So I go and I hit up this one spot, and man, I caught a bunch of nibbler largemouth, and these were all on. They were all hitting on the Pig Jigs BF spinnerbait. That little like ultralight spinnerbait, 16th ounce. It's their gill color, or the gill. It is a great color, like heavy with the orange. There's a lot, like it's just awesome, and they were just absolutely just loving it. And I was throwing it on the ultralight combo, that Ben Key ultralight, and it was just, these were a ton of fun. Super small fish, but I landed into a rock bass. I landed into a rock bass, and I was like, and it was May 1st. It was the first of the month. I'm like, holy shit, this is great. Now remember, I am not in the multi-species scavenger hunt for May. I didn't even have a catch board with me. It's because I'm only doing the open this month. I'm just going to set aside that week to kind of go for it. And this rock bass would not have made the minimum. It was probably 6.5 inches, 7 inches if it was really excited.
Sure.
Was not anything that was going to do me any favors. So I took advantage, and I grabbed my phone and I recorded some content for a YouTube short. I was just like, I'm going to put this on. And I think I actually put it on Instagram Reels too. Dude, I got the best hater comment on there. The best. The guy in there, he comments, and I goaded him as well afterwards to try to say some other shit, but nothing really came of it. So let me look up these comments here. Oh, here we go. So what he posted was, he goes, perfect example of everything I hate about a lot of fishermen summed up in one video. Can't catch shit, blames the fish, keeps it out of water till it's basically dead, and makes sure if it does survive, then it's gotten shocked so bad it'll never bite a hook again. I'm going to show this video to my nephews as an example of everything not to do when fishing. My response was, I feel for your nephews, dude. Sharing lineage with a person who lacks any sense of humor whatsoever. This fish was unhooked seconds before recording and released immediately. As for your can't catch shit comment, I think that's just hilarious. Get fucked, bud. And I was really hoping that like it was gonna go like they would prime the engagement or anything. No, when I produced the fucking
you're waiting for round two, dude. He threw in the towel.
I was just waiting for more views. Nothing.
Was that IG or YouTube?
That was YouTube, and it got mega views. That one, like that's probably the second most like viewed short of mine since I started doing YouTube last year. Yeah, it's like unbelievable. I was like, wow. I was like, okay.
I remember everyone's dude. I get hater comments on YouTube and stuff, and my biggest one was back when Jeremiah had caught that smallie, and I took it and boat flipped it for him, dude. I got so much shit for that. They're like, let the kid catch his fish and I don't touch his shit anymore.
No,
like, dude, you're on your own.
I'm not doing that. Well, and it's funny in the interview, Jose and I talk about that, like dealing with hater comments and ways to kind of make them. Because I'll be honest with you, like it's sort of, I think I take it as a badge of honor. It means like my stuff is landing, like it's showing up in front of people so much that they're morons and like are driven to lose their minds and leave some kind of a negative comment, which is thank you. Thank you.
It doesn't matter if you give me a good comment or a bad comment.
It still helps.
Traffic on my channel is traffic.
Exactly. Like I will take it.
It's just like any publicity is good publicity.
It's
you know
true,
what I
dude.
mean? It's the same thing. So they, like you said it perfect.
Yeah.
Get fucked, bud.
Get fucked, bud. And I think that's going to be my thing. I think we might see some merch. There's like some like Bobby Roast Beef specific fishing merch where it just says "Get fucked, bud."
Yeah,
that might just be it.
I'm waiting for So, did you watch the video?
I did.
You said you did watch it.
Oh yeah.
So, did you see the one where that fish was bleeding like a sieve, dude?
Like crazy, dude. I was like, oh my god.
Guess where he was hooked, dude?
Top of the mouth.
Dude, right, like a little bit in the tongue.
Really? Oh yeah,
like,
dude, in the tongue. Yeah, the tongue will bleed like a motherfucker.
So, dude, those spotted bass are sensitive, dude. They're like trout, man.
Yeah,
I noticed. Like they
like trout.
They are sensitive like trout, man. And oh, dude, one thing I forgot to tell you about the day 3 that was really fucking cool.
Yep.
Our first spot, dude, we were just kind of like winging it. Our first spot, and I get into this. We're like, let's look for a small cutout off the main lake, like with a ledge or whatever.
Yep.
Dude, we parked the boat, shut off the motor. We have stripers just blowing up all around us.
Real okay.
It was what I can't wait to put that video up. And I go, dude, let's start throwing top water. He goes, you think so? I go, oh, you know, we're like, think about it. We're like, I guarantee you there's some good fucking bass in with them. Like, sure, I guarantee you there's at least one or two. They didn't want my bait but Taylor starts he went and grabbed a chrome mock prop bait, the mock baits prop bait.
Yep.
Because we noticed that they really like chrome, dude. And I forgot mine in the truck. So I was a fucking mess, dude. So anyway, dude, he starts hitting, he gets striper, boom, striper. And then I forgot to tell this. So that was our first 2-pounder. The next cast, dude, he grabs a 2-pound spot. And I was like, I fucking told you they're in with them, dude. So, but yeah, I forgot to talk about that part.
That's fucking awesome though, dude. That's a good fucking get. So I did take the boat out this week. I went out Friday morning. And
perfect.
May is gonna be a month where I'm actually gonna be home for the slot limit tournament. So I'm toying around with different bodies of water. And I figured I was like, I think I'm gonna go over to Congamon Jr. and just see how I can do, how many bass that I can put in the boat that would fit the slot. The answer?
None.
I caught a shitload of largemouth, but they were all 10 and 11 inches.
Oh, yeah.
All 10 and 11 inches. I was like, oh, you motherfuckers. I did catch a ton of slime darts to the point where it was obnoxious. And a lot of these were like the really small ones. And like, I'll just, if I, sometimes like I'll take them up by the water and like just let them thrash around, and if they release themselves, even better. But if they don't, I'll just grab them like around the middle of the body. And then I'll take my pliers, grab the hook, boom, and then release these suckers. And I was just listening to an episode of The Catch today with one of the Ohio DNR guys talking about like slime coats on fish. And I feel like I may have done a little bit of my due diligence to reduce the micro slime dart population in Congamon Jr. So to all of you that fish Congamon Jr.,
you're welcome.
I mean, dude, I caught so many. I did get into one spot where I caught 4 or 5 crappie, and you know what they were fucking eating? Okay. You know what they were crushing?
What?
HH Customs micro couche bladed jig.
Crushing. Oh yeah, that makes sense, dude. Yeah,
and they were just absolutely smashing it, and then. That was early, and then the sun came out. We lost some clouds, and the bite started to slow, and I was like, I'm going to get a little bit more subtle. So I threw a jig head on, a Jigmaster's perfected ball head, and I was throwing around like one of those 2.8-inch Kitex, and I love them. And the problem is I get like 2 fish in, and I'm down to like my last pack of those, and the 2.8s are hard to find in stock in those colors. You know, I got to really, now's the time I have to start looking around to restock on them. And we're going to talk about this bait in bait of the week, but I switched over to a guppy, a 3-inch guppy from HH Customs. And we'll talk about this in bait of the week this week. But a change was made, and it was a good change. So I caught a mess of fish that day. It was just unbelievable. But it let me know, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that place is not going to play for the slot limit tournament. It's out of the running. Like I took a day so I could figure it out. No way. I will say, while I was in this one section,
we're still talking about Congamon Jr.
Congamon Jr. Yep. I saw one of those breeder fucking brown trout.
Did you?
Yeah, the water was so clear out where I was. And
just cruising
right by me. I did throw a bait or two out its way. In fact, on one of my other BFS combos, I've got like just a small micro jig with a 2-inch easy shiner on there. And I threw that thinking that maybe that might get bit. No, not the case. But I saw and I was like, wow, no shit. So they're still in here. They're still around, you know. I mean, who the fuck knows? So that was Friday. Saturday, I had a work event. I did an event for St. Mary's Church in Simsbury, Connecticut. This is my second time there doing a game show with them, and they were awesome. We had such a great time. But as I was leaving the house, I walk out. I get a text from Thomas Reynolds from Pig Jigs Plastics. Pig Plastics.
Yeah,
There's a big PVC pipe on my porch. And it's my new BFS rod. It's the Pig Jigs custom BFS rod. So I get this thing and like, I mean, this was like moments before that storm rolled in. So I'm like unpackaging it.
I heard about that storm. I wasn't here for it. Meg told me about it though.
It was nuts. Like it was nuts, dude. The street flooding like crazy. And I was on the road for most of it. So that was great. But I was out there throwing, I put this rod in the truck and I gave it a once over just to check it out. And I'm like, tomorrow I'm going to try to find some time and go and make this happen. So, my wife earlier in the week, like, you know, she has been sleeping well lately. And, you know, I keep us stocked pretty good with some edibles that are designed for quality sleep. And she's like, yeah, I don't know, sometimes they're hot and cold and I don't want to take, you know, 2 and then wake up groggy the next day or anything, whatever. And I was like, hey, I get you. You know, so while she was up like most of the night, got up super early, I got up and I was like, I'm going to do some running around. I wanted to get the grass cut before we got this like 3-day spread of rain. I'm like, I know the grass is wet. I'm like, I just got to cut it. It's got to get done. So beforehand, I ran out and I hit up one of my favorite dispensaries, Theory Wellness. And I was like, I'm going to look, and I made an order online while I was having my coffee. And, you know, Holly had fallen asleep on the couch with the dog. And I was like, I'm just going to go do this pickup and then come back and do the lawn. Well, as the good fortune would have it, and listeners of Jigs and Bigs, this does tie into the show. Sean the Fisherman had introduced me like a few years ago to a strain of cannabis called Jigglers. And I'm looking at Theory, and Theory is who is the purveyor of this one strain. I've never found it anywhere else. But that is Jigglers. And it smells so good. So I was like, I'm dabbling a little bit more with flour. So I'm like, I'm going to pick up some flour. I also picked up a gram of Jigglers keef, which is like a byproduct that's made when you grind the bud. But this is just, it's all collected. So I've been making these like enhanced Jigglers bowls with just fantastic, dude. I'm saying fantastic. And I said to, so I come home with these gummies and stuff for my wife and she is delighted. She's like, this is awesome. Thank you. I go and my daughter and her were cleaning the house, and my daughter was in the process of doing dishes, and she managed to crack one of her nails, and she needed to go to Walgreens when she was done and get some nail glue. I was like, I'll bring you, knowing I was going to throw the Tatula on that Pig Jigs rod, and we were going to go back to that bank spot, and I was going to just make a few casts. I just needed to know.
Just a couple, Holly. Just a couple.
Just to know, just to get a taste. You know what I mean? Dude, that rod is so nice. It is just the right action. It is fast enough to be able to feel contour, to be able to feel like rocks on the bottom, anything like that. Like you can, it is. And like, well, I got a few bites. I will say it is fast enough, but it is moderate enough to load up to cast the lightest shit. And I am so excited to play around with this a little bit more. And I think that combination of the Tatula with that Pig Jigs rod is just like chef's Kiss. So, I mean, we're basically going to get, it looks like, so I'm looking at the weather this week, and it looks like tomorrow's going to be a total washout. Wednesday,
I was looking at that.
Wednesday looks like we're going to get the potential of a shower pretty early in the morning, but maybe in the afternoon, not so bad. Thursday is a go, but I'm looking Wednesday, Thursday is going to happen. I was really kind of hoping I'd be able to get out on Saturday. We're still looking at crazy rain even on Saturday, though Friday looks even worse.
Friday looks worse. Yeah. Sunday's looking good.
Sunday will be a go for me for sure. But so Saturday is weird because my wife had mentioned she wanted to do something. I forget what it was off the top of my head, but she wanted me to be around on Saturday. I was like, no problem. And I was like, I'll just go fishing later on Saturday. And if the rain tapers off, that might work out good. I forgot, dude. I've got tickets to go see Marilyn Manson on Saturday at the House of Blues.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. My buddy Jimmy, the guy who played the role of Chicopee Chet at the 100th episode. He and I have we've gone to go see Manson since like the Antichrist Superstar tour, like years ago.
I would love to go see Manson, dude.
He
doesn't have that. Probably doesn't have that many years, and he's probably
he's sober now. He's been for like 3 or 4 years, and
I didn't know that.
The show is like unbelievable. I guess most of the players that are in his band are guys that play with Jerry Cantrell. So I'm like, and I think the drummer is formerly from the Dillinger Escape Plan. It's just crazy. I was like getting a little refresher course on his library. His new single is In the Air Tonight. It's a cover of Phil Collins.
Really?
And I'm interested to see how theatrical it's going to be at that venue.
So have you listened? You've heard it?
Oh yeah, and it's great.
Is it good?
It's really great.
I'm gonna have to listen to it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to listen to it.
Dude, I'm telling you. Yeah. So Jimmy and I, we have gone to see. He is a super fan, and I am a appreciator of Marilyn Manson in a huge way. I'm like, the dude just puts on a great show. Like you know what I would love to see? 10 years. A Manson Vegas residency.
Ooh,
it
that
might
would
kill
be
him.
Cool.
It might kill him to be there. You know what I mean? But I'd go.
So it's fun. It's funny because you know, obviously I'm a little younger than you, so I graduated high school in 2003.
Yep.
And so that like 1999 to 2003, like Marilyn Manson was very big. But that was like the goth kids in school. So like if you liked Marilyn Manson, you didn't want to be associated with those kids, you don't fucking say it.
You don't say shit. Yeah.
I've really come to like appreciate more like, dude, like emo. I fucking love emo music, dude. But I didn't like grunge rock. I like dude, like Thrice and Pennywise and dude, I love those bands. You know what I mean? Yep. And but like Marilyn, there was the ones you don't touch. There was the Marilyn Mansons, the Rob Zombies. You didn't say shit about those ones. Even Gigi Allen, dude.
Oh, dude, there's like Marilyn Manson is like fucking Snoopy and Charlie Brown compared to Gigi Allen. No bullshit.
Oh yeah. Gigi Allen was fucked.
Psychopath.
Dude.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, man. The whole Allen family.
How that dude was in public. It was
should
mixed
never
in
have
with
been.
society.
Yeah,
for those of you listeners who don't know who Gigi Allen is, do yourself a favor and do a little research. This guy should have been in the fucking loony bin, and he was like just a product of society. Like the fact that he was around people's children or like in public is crazy.
I'm going to put it to you the best way possible. The number one brand product currently today, if it were around back in Gigi Allen's heyday, that would have that should have endorsed him 100%.
Dude wipes.
Oh yeah, dude. Like
absolutely. And if you can connect those dots there, you are my kind of people. You know the deal.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into the music thing real quick. So it's another show I've always wanted to go to.
What's that?
Rob Zombie, dude. I've always wanted to go to a Rob Zombie concert.
See, here's the thing about
and I feel like if I know anyone that's been, it would be you. Have you been?
I've seen White Zombie. I have not seen Rob Zombie like
okay. So that's
after White Zombie kind of disappeared, I was like, this is a little too much. It's weird because like, see, I don't like musicals. So it's the same element of like the Rob Zombie stuff.
It's very theatric.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where I feel like with Manson, there's still rock songs. You know what I mean? And it's the same reason why I'm not like the biggest fan of like System of a Down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But my daughter loves System of a Down. Like, and when we took her to Vegas to go see them, and she was just like I have this one clip where we were watching, what the fuck was it? I think it's BYOB was the name of the song.
Yeah.
And like, I'm recording the show for her, holding my phone over, and I look over and I'm like, la 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 la. I fucking scared her. It was the funniest fucking thing.
Dude, the only like, I've seen Five Finger Death Punch. And you know where I saw them, dude?
Yeah.
Iraq.
Oh, really? Oh,
dude, they played in Iraq, part of like the
no shit
USO fucking
I was gonna
tour
say it must have been
whatever.
like a USO thing or something.
Yeah,
I just recently saw Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah,
they were opened at one of the Metallica dates.
Was it trash?
None of us were impressed at all. Like,
oh no,
they have two different songs where they reference Jekyll and Hyde. I'm like, come on, get a little bit more creative. I will say this. You know, it's a band that like so. This is going like way, way back, but there's a band that like, and I've always been a fan of like this trio of bands that have roots in Western Mass. Shadows Fall, All That Remains, Killswitch Engage. Especially like, man, like, especially like fucking All That Remains. Like when they first started, I was the biggest All That Remains fanboy. Like it was fucking stupid.
Killswitch Engage, I'm most familiar with that one.
Yeah. And they've had like the most lineup changes and stuff, and they're probably the most like household name. But I am like, and even like you can tell if you listen to like some of the music I'm using in the videos, like I'm like, let's look around for some royalty free stuff that's inspired in this direction, or like there's
dude, I gotta show you the app I use. I gotta send it to you for the music, like on my YouTube. Dude, I found it's all royalty free, and it's hundreds of thousands of like you can pick between stuff with vocals, without vocals, like, and it's like every genre. But fun fact, I know you probably know this, but for the listeners, Aerosmith has recorded an album or two like 2 miles from my house in some random fucking barn.
I forget the name of the barn, but so has Korn is recorded there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I want to say
I've heard there's been a couple.
Yeah,
but Aerosmith's like the big. There's like the town hall, dude. If that's what you want to call it here in this little ass town, has like pictures of them and shit. But
John asks, he says, All That Remains is the outro? No, that outro song is like royalty free. I'll dig up the title, John. I'll send it to you because he actually DM'd me before. He's like, I'm digging the new outro music, man.
Yeah.
I will say, so interesting fun fact about All That Remains. For a while, All That Remains had a bass player, this girl, Jeannie Sagan. And Jeannie is awesome. Jeannie is awesome. And I know this because I was in Jeannie's first band. Yeah. And so I was in Jeannie's first band, and like was absolutely a lot of fun, like absolutely cool. Yeah, John, I'll get you that song title. I'll just email you the MP3. I think there's a vocal version and an instrumental version, but I think we're using the vocal version on the show. But yeah, I mean, it's just, so yeah, that's what I've got going Saturday night. It's going to be a good time. Jimmy and I are going to have a blast. I told him I will have plenty of jigglers to share, and it'll just be fun. I haven't been to the House of Blues in Boston, so I'm interested to like check it out myself.
If that's the one I'm thinking of, years ago, I saw Coheed and Cambria there.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I used to fucking dig Coheed and Cambria so much.
Dude, I still love Coheed and Cambria. Meg loves it. When she told me, she's like, oh, I love Coheed and Cambria. Like the fact that I married a lady, a girl that likes Coheed and Cambria and like those. So we've been waiting for them to come back in the area, and we want to go. Same thing with a band that her and I both love, and we missed the show because it was we had something to do. It was Rise Against. We both love
Rise Against is great.
Yeah, both love Rise Against.
They're a fucking good band, man.
Yep.
They're one of those groups that when they were like their stuff was in their heyday, I kind of wrote them off. There's a bad habit of mine when I get into a specific niche, I ignore like everything else.
Yeah,
you know?
If it's trendy, and I totally understand that. And I'm the same way. Like with not so with music. Like I hate to like be involved in stuff that everyone else likes.
I almost feel like I appreciate it more coming to it later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, and you're like, wow, this is actually pretty good shit.
Like it really is. It's just kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Like I can remember that I went through the same thing. Like when 9 Inch Nails released The Fragile, I was like, all right, you guys chill the fuck out, whatever. But then years later, like in the early 2000s, I went back and like started listening to some of that stuff. I did the same thing. Like I fucking hated Radiohead for years because like everybody was just like, oh, the Bends. And then
so I was that way with Pearl Jam.
Oh, see, I've always been like that with Pearl Jam.
See, oh, really?
Yeah. Have you ever seen them live?
No.
Led Zeppelin of our generation. Facts. Like music sounds a little bit different, but the same vibe. Like you watch concert footage from each. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, so you're saying it's awesome?
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like, I wasn't like a big fan of Pearl Jam that back in the day, but now I'm like, I fucking love Pearl
fucking
Jam.
great.
Like, this shit's awesome. You know.
What's your favorite Pearl Jam album? Like if you have like a top two, like where do you lean on the spectrum?
I want to say it was their. I don't know. I suck with album names.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I suck with that, but like I like their like their like really old shit, but then like when what's his face kind of started to do is like I just love I can't think of his name, the lead singer there. What's his fucking name?
Eddie Vedder.
Yeah. Dude, I just love his voice, dude. Like he has such a dynamic range and like
way more than I think most people give him credit for.
Exactly. Yep. Same thing with who's it? Sully from not Sully. From oh my god, they wear the masks.
Oh, Slipknot.
Dude.
Yeah.
He that dude's got a crazy range that people don't understand. You know what I mean? It's like now that he's like kind of older. I think so. Zach's right. I think it's that 10 one. I thought it was the second one, but I remember it being 10 now.
Yeah.
But I thought it was the second one, but yeah, the first one. I suck with like albums. It's just especially the older shit. But
it was so weird for me because like so 10 and Versus came out and I was like, this is great. Vitology came out the year I graduated high school, and I was like, fucking, this is so good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then No Code came out and I was like,
y'all are fucking weird.
Yep. And I was like, just not into it. I was like, whatever. Couple of years go by and I somehow connected with listening to Yield, which is like they're more like arena rock like record. Like it's big sound.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, it's fucking really good. So I started revisiting all this other stuff. And then No Code crosses back when I was in like an emo band. And I was like, fuck, I'm like, No Code I got it. Like it clicked. And I was like, the writing is so good on No Code. And it's become one of my favorites. It's so bizarre.
Well, one of my favorite songs on the fucking planet, dude. Thrice, Artist in the Ambulance.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You know that one?
Yep,
dude,
I know that one.
I love that song, dude. It's so random, but I love that. And Eli said he likes old school country. So you know who else I like? And you might give me shit for this. I like it because of the absolute. So Eli. So I love it because because of the lyrics and the story behind it, dude. I love Zach Bryan, dude. Like his lyrics and the emotion behind his songs are just like, I think you hear that for, especially like, cause I like country. I listen to country. When you hear it from certain like big artists, it seems fake. It seems the emotion seems forced. With Zach Bryan, I feel like the emotion is like real. It's like real emotion. If that makes sense. So
I hear you, man. A lot of that roots country stuff is just like, that's kind of my go-to now, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
I forget the dude's name. Something Brent Cobb, maybe. And he's got there's a meme of him and he's like, the song's called like, I think Reverend or something like that. And he's like, well,
oh yes.
Oh my
God.
Awesome. Dude. I'm like,
yes,
so good. So
Taylor
good.
and I were talking about this. We got into this conversation. Like, where a lot of these, especially the country artists, where they kind of have gotten famous from is fucking people doing TikTok videos to their lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy because that viral trend, I mean, like it plays into pop culture. Like that's a new thing. There was a video of, I forget the artist's name, and I played his song at trivia. It's like just some kind of a pop song, but it was huge on TikTok. But there's actual footage of people at one of his concerts, sold out. He's doing the song. Nobody knows it until it gets to that 15 seconds. Everybody sings along, and they're just like, well, why didn't he? I know what's the rest of that song. And that's all that people listen to. It's kind of insane. I don't know. We are getting so far off topic, but this is fucking good.
We are getting so far off topic. That's okay though. That's what Jigs and Bigs is all about. That's
exactly what it is. It's a little bit of entertainment. Now, you've got a headline for this week, don't you?
I do. Wow, yeah, we're hour 20. This might be a record, dude.
This might be a record show
for an hour and 25 minutes.
We got a good interview too. Let's go ahead. We'll do the headlines.
Yep. Can't hear the music anymore. We good? Okay, let's go. Let's do this. Bobby's holding all the editing and the behind the scenes stuff to himself now. So I'm just in the dark. He's got to like point at me and tell me when to go, and I just feel stupid,
like a clacker.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Got a story for you, Bobby.
I love stories.
And for the listeners, does anybody want to go out and make themselves a few extra dollars? Well, you can if you just go down to Maryland, because this bounty hunter is earning thousands for fishing for snakeheads in Baltimore.
Oh, really?
A new reward program pays local anglers $30 for every snakehead, blue, and flathead catfish they harvest from the area. Sorry, John.
Oh my God.
Parts of Maryland's Chesapeake Bay are loaded with invasive fish species, most notably the snakehead, which were introduced illegally into Maryland waters some 20 years ago and have been vilified by fisheries biologists and in the media ever since. The sprawling tidewater in the Baltimore Harbor area is also home to overpopulations of blue and flathead cats, both of which have expanded their range into the bay and are eating their way through the native food chain. To help solve the bay's invasive fish problem, a bounty reward program has been established to encourage harvests. A coalition of local conservation groups established the Reel Rewards, REEL Rewards.
I like that.
Fish program in 2024, and it pays anglers $30 for every snakehead, blue, or flathead they catch in the harbor. Fishermen can use rods and reels or bows, and they can cash in their fish at pickup locations around the area. The heads are kept there, while anglers can take the rest of the fish home to eat. Okay.
So you can keep them, but wow.
Yeah, you just got to give them the head. That's actually very smart. The program is currently limited to the Baltimore Harbor area of the Patapsco River, and anglers can turn in up to 15 fish per week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So what's that? That's what's that like? I don't know. I'm not good with the maths. It's like 415
$450 bucks.
450, yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
But there's no cap on the overall number of fish, and some local fishermen are making hay while they can. Last year, 26-year-old Brian Slacum made around $4,000, turning in 134 snakeheads. He had plenty of fish to eat too. I didn't know you could eat snakeheads.
Oh yeah,
snakeheads are excellent eating, he tells Outdoor Life. I like them better than striped bass, and Baltimore Harbor is jammed with them. They're literally everywhere in shallow water these days, spawning, I think.
John Hagen says kind of sketchy when you have to give head to keep fish.
Slacum and his bow fishing buddy Chris Taylor are at it again this spring. They're already on track to surpass that 2024 haul of $4,000. We've logged 106 fish this year, and the season runs into mid-July. Slacum says, we arrowed 65 fish one night this year. Most weigh under 5 pounds, but we see fish up to 10 pounds, and our biggest was 15. Slacum uses a bow with a relatively light draw weight of just 35 pounds. It's plenty powerful for bow fishing. And he says it keeps them from driving an arrow too far into the mud if they miss the fish, making it easier to retrieve. Most of the snakeheads the bow fishermen see are lone females cruising the shallows, but they'll occasionally find four or more fish jammed together. Slacum sees other bow fishermen on the water going after bounties and believes anglers are putting a dent in Maryland's invasive fish population. But he says the Baltimore Harbor is still a target-rich environment, and he and Taylor will regularly see up to 60 fish in a 4-hour trip. Archers prefer low outgoing tide water since targeting water just a foot deep has been the most productive, says Slacum. They bow fish from a shallow draft tracker marine boat set up with underwater lights and raised platforms for shooting. Let's go make some dough down in Maryland, Bobby.
Well, you know, it's funny that you bring up that story specifically because if this is accurate, and again, this might not necessarily be accurate, but you remember when Sean and Delirious and myself, we went to Lockwood's place in Crumpton, Maryland there?
Yep.
I remember looking into, and I don't know where I got this information. If somebody had passed it along and told me, like, oh, if you get in any snakeheads, they're worth money. And I had inquired. I said, okay, that sounds pretty interesting. How's it work? I think $30 a head is a little bit of a undervalue because I believe at one point they were selling for $17 a pound for the whole fish.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, a 10-pound snakehead is not hard to come by.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's not hard to come by. Those are big fish. I mean, hell, even a 5-pound, you know what I mean? But still
you're still looking at $85, dude.
That's what I'm saying. That's a much bigger bounty. Now, if you're able to double down and turn the head over and then give the other fillets to, and turn those in, then great. But yeah, I've heard that that's what they sell for is like $17 a pound and you can sell those suckers,
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like if just the market has changed or if that's just something, maybe it's just Baltimore specific or anything like that. But it's definitely like when you said the numbers, I was like, I think it'll work out better for you.
John Hagan says, kind of sketchy when you have to give head to keep fish. And then Eli comes with a zinger. Hey, $30 is $30.
$30 is $30, Eli. You goddamn right. Those teacher salaries are tough, dude. And you got to do what you got to do. He says fishing may work too. And then Pat Martin joins us, our favorite Ginger Chode. He chimes in. He goes, hey, boys, leaving work after a shitty day. Cinco de Mayo sucks at a pizza place. I could understand that. I could definitely understand that. Oh, there we go. It's a classic sound.
I got to work tomorrow, too. I'm back to work after like 11 days.
I think we should take a quick break. Turn this sucker around. We got an FTG. If you fish competitively at all, this story is going to boil your blood. Get ready. And then we're going to talk about our bait of the week this week. We're talking about a nice little soft plastic that I am becoming a big fan of. And it's from HH Customs. We'll talk about that in our next segment. And then don't go too far because after that, we have our interview with Jose Cinco, a.k.a. Bait and Bougie, joining us to sit down in the beef seat, talk fishing, talk industry, talk all of it, talk content. We talk about it all. And then we have our very first live well segment. It's happening here, folks. The live well is going down. We'll see you guys in a bit. Don't go too far. More Jigs and Bigs coming up after this.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Alrighty, guys. guys, here we are. Let's talk about it. We got an FTG this week. This one came in. I got actually news from a number of folks that had reached out about this. There was a post that was shared recently from an organization, a tournament trail out in the Michigan area called Top Water Series. And I guess Top Water Series does a I guess you could call it like a weekday or a weeknight series on Wednesday nights, where they have like these short, like 3 or 4 hour long tournaments, and folks kind of come in and do their thing. The vibe that I've been getting from a lot of people is like most of these tournaments aren't even really about like being competitive or winning any money or anything like that, but it's more of a like a camaraderie builder, community building type thing where folks just get together and fish and then bullshit on stuff on a midweek evening to kind of, spend some time together. And I was like, that's cool. So this came across my desk, and I'm going to go through, and I actually have the post. I took some screenshots of the post to kind of read the details that are out there. There's some comments in here too as well that I may go over as well. But it says, this is what Top Water Series had posted on their Facebook page. It goes, recently it was brought to our attention that one of our anglers committed a serious rule violation during last night's Lakeshore tournament. Jesse Brinkert was witnessed accepting fish from someone on shore and submitting those fish as his own catch. After reviewing the evidence, Jesse admitted to the violation and submitted a written apology included below. We appreciate that he chose to take responsibility and make amends. As part of Jesse's apology, he's also chosen to return 100% of the winnings that he earned while competing in the Top Water Series. All events in which Jesse placed will be reviewed, and those winnings will be redistributed to the anglers who should have placed in those positions. While we are disappointed to uncover the violation, we respect Jesse's decision to resolve the matter quickly and transparently. That said, the integrity of the Top Water Series is our highest priority. Jesse has been issued an indefinite ban from all future events. Below is the full apology by Jesse. And this is what he writes. He says, first off, I just want to thank every one of you that's helped/supported me throughout the years. Unfortunately, I messed up bad. Chatting with a person I met on the bank about fishing and getting to know each other, I ended up with me taking a wrong turn. He said he would, quote, offer to help, being nice, if he caught something. Obviously, this is against the rules, so I denied him and continued my fishing. Later on, fishing slowed and I started to panic. I noticed him catching fish and made my way back toward him. Selling myself short, I took 2 fish and submitted. This is not who I am as a person. This was a mistake. I will continue making videos/content and chase my dreams, but my tournament days are now over. Yes, your view/perspective of me will change. However, I take full responsibility and hope you can forgive me. You guys are family and I love all of you. And then they continue to say, we remain committed to fair competition, transparency, and maintaining the trust of our anglers. While we know the situation may stir strong feelings, we ask that the community discuss it with respect for all of those involved. Please allow us some time to review past tournaments, results, and redistribute the funds appropriately. We'll post a full report here once that process is complete. Thank you for continuing to support the Top Water Series leadership. And like we had a similar story over here where we had someone, cheating in a tournament kind of go and, admit, I mean, this was a little bit different. This guy, Jesse, seemed to have been caught with proof and then came clean with his situation. It's just a shitty situation in general for everybody involved. When you're fishing and then and you're doing so competitive in a competitive field, it's a tough pill to swallow when you're like, what the fuck? Because those types of things specifically, and Joe, I know, like, and I thought of you immediately because was it last year or the year before you were doing a regular Wednesday or Thursday night event, right?
Yeah,
like a bunch of regular guys.
Yeah, I still do it. I still do it here and there. I just can't go to everyone. It's
not like a big time tournament. Like I just can't. He said he started to panic. Like, why would you even fucking panic at that point? Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this kid, Jesse, placed second at the Kayak Adventure Series last year in the Michigan. I think it was Whitehall. And it just makes you wonder, like, he says he made a mistake this time. And he also says in his apology that that's not the person who he is. Clearly, that is the person who he is because he did the thing. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to say like, oh, but that's not who I am. I have to wonder if that was kind of a smokescreen to like, maybe there's more shit. Like, I get it. Some people have hold on a sec. I like this. Zach chimes in. He says, it doesn't make it better to come clean after you've been caught. It's not self-reporting. No, you're 100% right, Zach. I agree 100%. With you. Yeah, it doesn't make it any better. If anything, like I said, I think that's kind of a smokescreen. But this is a kid who placed second in the Kayak Adventure Series in Michigan. And I think that like it makes you wonder what the fuck's going on. Also, like I've looked into some of his content. He's got a sizable amount of subscribers on YouTube. Like he's got a sizable channel, and like, yeah, I have to wonder like, what was the end goal? Like what the fuck is somebody thinking? So on behalf of everybody who had sent this link my way, it started out with a couple of listeners of the show, and then just from there and on, and it just seemed to be more and more people sending me this link to this Facebook group. I had to say so for on behalf of all of them.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck him hard, and don't forget his name, because if you run a tournament trail and that name pops up, you want to eject it, cut it quick before he has don't give him the opportunity. Because
as every female on the planet says, Bobby, once a cheater, always a cheater.
Oh fuck yeah, it's true. As Dr. Phil once said, or said all the time, the most clear indication of future behavior is past behavior.
Oh, hell yeah. I like that.
It's the fucking truth, man. It's the truth. So with that said, let's go ahead and shift gears, because I got some good stuff to talk about.
Okay, gearheads, it's time to talk tools. Jigs and Bigs gear of the week.
Who doesn't love finesse swim baits? They're just a killer design. And HH Customs makes a great one. They make this 3-inch swim bait that's called the Guppy. And I've had a few of these laying around, different packages, different colors, from Dark Horse boxes, but I bought a bunch of them too when I wanted to restock and just have a variety of swim baits. Because the thing is with swim baits is that with plastics in general, really, there's such a variety. You get the different recipes of plastics, the way that their actions are going to change, based on that. The durability is a factor. And then, the shapes of some of these swim baits, like little tiny nuance changes and variables make a really big difference. And I had used, like I said, this was last Friday. I was throwing around a ball head jig with a 2.8-inch Kitech, big swinging action in the back. And, I was like, do I have something that's kind of in this color? Because I would catch a fish. It would either be a dink bass or a largemouth. And, I would get a couple of catches, and then that bait would just get torn up. Like it was, the hook would get torn out, and it was just not sitting. The hook wasn't sitting right in the plastic. So I said, I've got these guppies, and this color is kind of a great color for what I'm doing. It kind of matches in the ballpark of what I'm doing. I threw one of these on, and then immediately started catching like as many, if not more, fish and more diverse species throwing this one plastic. But the nice thing is there were a ton of pickerel. And you know how many of these guppies I needed?
A lot.
One.
That's phenomenal. That's a big deal.
That is a big deal. And the 3-inch size, that 3-inch profile on a jig head, like the Jig Master's Perfected Ball Head that's got a screw lock on it. When you thread that thing and take a second and thread that thing on the hook, so that hook shaft goes straight through the center of that body of plastic, and it comes out just right, just the way where it's sitting perfectly level. you will fish with that plastic all day long. It has the nicest subtle body roll and a quick little tail flick action that is out of this freaking world. The colors are absolutely fantastic, but there's a couple of colors that lean right into my wheelhouse, and I am stocked up bigly with these things, like ready to rock and roll. I can't say enough good about the guppy. So if you're interested in checking out the guppy for yourself, I would recommend you can go right over to Dark Horse Tackle, go into the bait shop and take a look. Take a look, see what they've got for colors there. If they don't have the colors in stock that you're looking for, go to HH Customs. Go to HH Customs directly and look and see what's available there. That is just the virtuous cycle making everything kind of happen.
Right.
I got to tell you, I am a Kitech slut. A Kitech slut. And most anglers fall in that group. It's like saying like, oh, I like using the Yamamoto Senkos. Hey, that's just how it is. But I'm telling you, when you find something that's a great addition to your finesse swim bait arsenal, it is a good one. And I'm telling you, I couldn't believe I probably caught 15 or 16 chain pickerel after making that change. And the guppy I took off, because I did take it off, was chewed. There were teeth marks all over this thing. Maybe it's in the boat. If it's in the boat, I'll try to grab it and take a picture. If I didn't, I'm trying to do better with cleaning up the boat with all the plastics every time. So I may have thrown it out.
I was trying to remember what bait that was. And then Zach that's what he was using
when he was
during our tournament.
Right?
That's what he caught that 4+ with. Yeah. Yep.
Damn. Yeah. That's what he said on a drop shot. Guppy on a drop shot. Caught me every fish on the St. Lawrence last year with Joe. I'm telling you, on a light jig head, that body roll is just it is just so subtle. And I think that also played into the clouds clearing. When the clouds started to clear, I got more direct sunlight and things started to kind of heat up. A little bit more of a subtle action. And even though it's almost a 1/4 inch longer than what I was throwing, it is absolutely badass. Absolutely badass. So I recommend go ahead, check out the HH Customs guppies. They're out of this world. And Eli says, what brand jig head? What other brand would it be thrown by me? But a Jig Masters Perfected Ball Head jig. I'm a fan of the screw lock, and I'm telling you, you put one of those suckers on and they hold up. It was so chewed up, Joe. Like, when you have a plastic that's just been through and it looks like you ran it through the dryer, like it's kind of fuzzy looking, like that's what this thing looked like. It was crazy, but it stayed intact through the entire rest of the day, and I just got on them. Like there were some decent sized pickerel that were just like fucking doing snot rocket shenanigans the way they do, and I'm like, I'm in. I'm 100% in. So yeah. Just give you, I knew that, Eli, just giving you a chance to promote the one and only. Fair enough, Eli. Let's go ahead and do this, guys. We're going to take a real short break right here. We're going to come back. We've got Jose Senko, aka Bait and Bougie, in the beef seat. We talk all kinds of stuff, fishing, content, industry, you name it. And we'll see you guys in a bit. Don't go too far. We'll be back after that interview with more Jigs and Bigs goodness, including the first ever live well segment. We answer not just one, but 2 questions. We'll see you guys after this. Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef here, Jigs and Bigs podcast. We're back here. I got another guest in the beef seat, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. This is a guest that I've been wanting to have on the show for a while, and let me go ahead and set the stage this way. I will say this confidently that I have a bunch of regular listeners that reach out on the show nonstop, that will DM all kinds of different content to me, all sorts of stuff. And I would venture to say that a good 60% of what I receive in my inbox comes from this creator here. We got the one and only Jose Senko in the house, Bait and Bougie himself. Welcome, Jose.
What up, brother? Thanks for having me on.
Dude, this is amazing, man. I appreciate and respect the hell out of your game, dude. You are out there killing it. I want to give everybody kind of like big picture, sort of, so to speak, but I'm a sucker for an origin story. Let's start at the beginning. How was it that fishing came into your life? How did you develop that passion? And then, like, what was the road like to where it brought you to where we are today?
Yeah, so I started fishing at a young age. You know, kind of the story. My father was a hardcore sport fisherman, mainly saltwater. So grew up with for us older guys, the Snoopy pole, right? We didn't have Spider-Man poles and all that. We had the Snoopy pole, the Zebco.
It was easy. It was
so that's where I started off. I was fished heavily a lot, and then stopped for a long time, especially after my father passed. I probably didn't pick up a rod and reel for 7 years or something like that. And then when I was retiring out of the Army, moved back to Oklahoma. I shouldn't say, back to Oklahoma, but there's so many places to fish out here, you know? So my son started wanting to fish. And so I started to fish with him. And then he was like, why don't you start an Instagram? And I was like, well, that sounds stupid, but I'll give it a shot. And then, kind of here I am,
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Now, you also do some stuff like in the industry as well. Like, I've seen you at ICAST and doing all kinds of this stuff. Where did that eventually break in?
Man, so, I keep it very separate, and it's not, it's just because, people don't need to know. So obviously someone like yourself that's in the industry, you're seeing, because I get that a lot. They're like, you're not just creating videos, like you're at every show, you're doing this behind the scenes. And I said, yeah. So it started off with casting. I'll kind of tell you that story a little bit. Obviously I was getting back into fishing and I didn't want to spend $200-$300 on a spinning rod when I'm just pond hopping with my kids.
Sure.
They had a reel on there that was about $30, 35 ish. I think I'll just give it a shot.
Yep.
And so I liked it. So I reached out to them and this was back when if you had 1,000 followers, you were like a big dog, back then, 2016, 2017, they're like, oh man, 1K. Woo. And I said, hey, I see this brand ambassador program. What's that about? Or I'd like to join. I think it was a little bit more professional when I reached out than that, but it was like, hey, I'd love to rep your products. And so they brought me on as a brand ambassador. And then probably within a year, they said, hey, with all of your leadership experience, why don't you help run the brand ambassador program? So, just something small, kind of managing them. So that's where I started off with that. And then 21, kind of when like short form content really started to take off.
Yep.
That's when they needed someone to step up on that end. And so that's where I stepped up. And that's when I really got into working with it. And of course, since 21, I've kind of worked my way up the ladder to where I'm at now. So now I'm the U.S. content marketing manager for casting.
That's amazing, dude. Good for you, man.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
That's like, I think that's the story that so many of us that are in this grind, where we're so ate up with fishing all the time that we're like, why don't I just do this and be a part of the industry to try to have some sort of an impact on it? Like, and you're like legitimately doing it in like the most punk rock of way. Like, I'm just going to do this on my own. And the one thing I do want to say like about like casking specifically is like, I love casking because I feel like they did play an integral role. They were one of like a handful of brands out there that made fishing, a lot of us will say like, oh, all of a sudden now like, fishing's cool. Like when I was a kid, we didn't tell anybody about going fishing, but now I'll meet like young kids at like a body of water or something like that. And they'll say like, oh yeah, what are you catching them on? They know, they're so much more educated than I was at like 13, 15, 18 years old, something like that. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And I feel like casting played a role in making the barrier of entry so much more accessible for people to be able to get into the sport of fishing. And it should be, available out there. I have some casting products that I love. My travel rods are casting products. I've got Blackhawk casting telescopic rods. I've caught tanks on them, and they're great when I want to either, travel somewhere or
trespass a little bit.
It's nice to keep things on the DL. On the other side, though, like casting has also gotten into the BFS world, and like it's been a name that's been there kind of when in the American audience, it's sort of to kind of pop off a little bit. I just recently got my hands on a Zephyr. And it's a great little wheel. It's fantastic. I'm trying to do some BFS like educational trips to kind of like really introduce people on like what this niche of fishing is all about. And I'm like, this is pretty sweet, man. It's a pretty sweet setup. So that's pretty unbelievable. Let's talk about your specifics though for fishing when it comes to what you have going on. Are you, do you have any kind of niche that you sort of fall into, like with species or technique or anything like that?
Yeah. So a lot of it, man, at the core of it, I'm a multi-species angler. Like, I don't care. Like, if you said, hey, let's go bass fishing, let's go. If someone hits me up, let's go catfishing, let's go crappie, let's go, let's just get BFS gear and go hit up some, big old red-eared sunfish or something, pumpkin seeds. Like, dude, I don't care. I'll go fish a spillways. I'm not too good for that. But, I know a lot of people see that. I guess they try to categorize me as a bass fisherman. And that's just because that's where the market is.
Yeah.
That's just where the market is. That's where the money is. That's where the eyes are at, and regardless what anyone says, oh no, it's saltwater. It's this. Like, no, what runs the U.S. market is bass fishing, regardless of how you feel about it, because it's not niche down. The species is in, almost I think every single state, just about, you know what I mean? So it's something more relatable versus like steelhead or something like, you know what I mean? Nothing against all those guys. I do all of it. And I know I make fun of everyone for it, but it's like, it's just like bass fishing is just kind of where it's at. And of course I gotta go where the attention's at. Money's at. So
no, that makes sense, especially from like a financial or like a career standpoint. Like you got to go where where the money is. If you niche yourself out too much, it gets difficult. And I think at the end of the day, most people, whether they want to admit it or not, are multi-species anglers. Like it's like we get stoked about, like, I know dudes up here, especially in the Northeast where I am, that get irate. If I lose a $25, Vision 110 to a Northern Pike, I'm not going to be pleased. But if I manage to catch a 40-inch Northern, it's not like I'm not going to tell everybody at the bar about it that night. You know what I mean? Like it's still pretty amazing. So like a lot of folks out there, and at bass fishing it's so crazy because I try to tell folks all the time, we get a lot of questions about beginners. I want to get out and get into fishing. What should I do? Should I go? And everybody thinks there's like this graduating system. And I feel the same thing with boats and kayaks and things like that. People feel like they have to start at a specific like level or a specific target species. Oh, I'm going to catch bluegill. Why? You're probably going to get injured getting spined by a feisty bluegill, where it's difficult to lip them. I'm like, largemouth are just, they're abundant, they're hardy, they're easy to handle. And like, to be honest, in some situations, they are running the show, like go out there and catch them, have fun. There's plenty of them. And a lot of these folks, I think, if you start with largemouth, that right there, you're inviting more and more people to see like this is accessible. I was just listening to an episode of The Catch today. They were talking about handling fish. And like one of the things with largemouth specifically that I thought was interesting is you're supposed to lip them. You take almost no slime coat off that fish, lipping those fish. And a beginner, once they get over it, because it's kind of humorous in the beginning when they're like, they got to lip a fish and they're just like, I don't know about this. This is a little bit weird. But once they get over it, and you're like, oh, okay, this is how you handle a wild animal, and this is how you put it, back in its environment. It's sort of, it's like you see like the balloon pop. They're just like, oh wow, and they're like, they can actually do this. So it's a great like way to get into this and make it sort of happen. What's your take? This is sort of a hot take. I don't ask many people this, but there's a lot of accounts out there. One of them I'm going to note specifically: bass fishing sucks. You must have seen it. Bastardonis and all that stuff. Unbelievable. What's your hot take on something like that?
So it depends on what's the end game.
Yeah.
For that account and for that person.
Yeah.
Is it kind of shaking things up? Is it nice to see? So I'm still trying to figure out what that account was, because we followed each other before he made that account. And so like when I would go to do something, I had conversations with this guy.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
So, and then I'm like, well, I don't remember. You know what I mean? Because I'm not trying to say it's just, you know, you have so I know, you know, you have so many random conversations with people about stuff. You're like, hey, remember I DM'd you, you know, 3 months about it. Okay, cool.
We're all getting older, you know. I mean, come on.
yeah. Like I've took a shit since then. I don't remember.
Yeah.
You know? So I've tried to figure out, and you know, I like it. I like what he's doing. I like what he's the rage baiting. You know, I think it's funny. You know, but it's all about the end game. Like, what are you doing? You know, you can't make an account like that and then want to work with bigger companies. I saw that he did something with Throwback Baits, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was wild.
You know, yeah, that is wild, right? So obviously there's something going on at that, and that's cool. But at the same time, the swim baiters are kind of that, you know, the anti-establishment type of deal. So it fits.
That's true.
You know, so it's almost like other meme accounts, right?
Yep.
Like people are like, oh, well, you make memes too. I'm like, yeah, but I kind of slowed down on that because companies don't want to work with meme accounts. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, what's your end game? What are you trying to do? If you're trying to just disrupt and cause havoc, then you can go at it.
Go at it. Yeah.
Goals.
Yeah, that it is kind of wild, especially like memes are. I mean, it's slowly changing where it's sort of becoming a more, I guess, respectable form of not just content but comedy in a lot of ways. Like it's just something.
Even news.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on in the world. You could tell me something until I see a meme about it.
That's
and
true.
I'm like, oh, wait, what's going on in Europe today? You know?
Yeah, once everybody's sharing something like that, then you're kind of like the headline kind of becomes more accessible to people. You know, it's hit. You know? Yeah. That's very, very true. Let's talk as far as like, you know, when you're out there and you're doing your thing. Do you do any competitive fishing at all? You primarily just for the sheer enjoyment and adventure of it?
Yeah, so I mean, I tried to dabble a little bit in the competitive world. I'm just not cut out. You know what I mean? I'll be the first one to admit I am not cut out for it. The intensity, the preparation, and the focus that you have for that. And then I just kind of realized, like, I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I am or talk down on those guys. Like, I ain't that guy. I don't have the commitment. I don't have the time, the drive, the want.
It is.
So I just like to go out, and so it was kind of one of those like, shit, I'm going to go fishing anyways. Right.
Yeah.
So why not just record myself doing something stupid while I'm out there or acting just acting the way I act, you know, kind of, you know, develop this thing out of it. So
I totally get it.
Fish.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. Like and you find that there's a lot of people out there who just genuinely don't have any interest in making it competitive. You know, not to say that it's not fun. I think it's very fun to compete. I wouldn't know what winning is like. That's never happened. You know, but it's, you know, it's definitely one of those things where like there's a spectrum. You either fall into it where you're like, yeah, we're gonna go and do this. And I find there's like a lot of athletes, you know, they played sports when they were younger and they're looking for that same competitive sort of thing. So they treat it as that, which is awesome if you need that. But there's plenty of folks out there that's not really necessarily the case. And I will say it kills me. It breaks my heart when I see somebody get into competitive fishing and then like it just doesn't go right, or they're struggling a little bit, and then they just swear off fishing entirely. That's the worst situation.
When you see like guys that maybe make a splash on social media, and then they think they could carry that momentum into competitive fishing.
It's a different world.
And they just freaking, you know, and it's just like, you know, what can I say? You know,
it's absolutely it's insane. Let's talk like confidence baits. What's your go-to short list? Like when you need to get bit, what do you enjoy throwing the most? What do you feel you can count on the most?
I know I can count on a weightless Senko and a chatterbait. Like, you know what I mean? And even for someone being in the industry and be like, oh, well, this and this, like shit, man. You know, a Senko has won so much money for decades. You know, so if it comes down to it, it's going to be a Senko or a chatterbait.
Yep.
Depending on the body of water, also maybe a small swim bait type of deal.
Yep.
Something like that. But that's where it gets done, man.
Oh yeah,
that's money.
I agree. Is there a specific technique you struggle with a little bit, or maybe that you're looking at trying to conquer?
You know, of course. Shoot, man, you see those big glide bait bites, and that shit looks awesome. And so I'd love to get into that, but you know, 2 hours in, I'm like, forget this. Let me just catch something.
Yep. Let's just at least get bit. Let me know that there's even fish here. That's fair.
And then especially, I know it's frustrating when you see like followers, you know, and then when they follow the glide and they don't commit. So you're kind of like, what the heck is going on here? But that definitely big baits is something I'd like to get more into.
Yep.
And then offshore fishing. Like I'm just not confident offshore.
Yeah.
You know, ledge fishing, all that stuff, understanding. So I guess, I haven't locked in on that area. It's now shallow.
Oh no, it totally makes sense, man. That's awesome. And like, you know, you're able to fish year round where you're located. You're in Oklahoma.
100%. Yeah, I fish. Awesome. There is no seasons out here.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I mean, I'm sure it's got to be hot as hell in the summer, you know, and like you got to get out there early and get in before it's like noon because you're going to be paying for it, I'm sure. But like I'm so envious of that because like we had our first. It's probably been about 4 years or so maybe that we've had like our first like real winter where there were bodies of water that were frozen, that were safe ice, that haven't been safe ice in years. And it's the worst, man. And I just bought a boat last year and I was like, I'm not going to winterize. I'm going to change my oil. I'm going to be ready to go, throw the cover on it. As soon as I'll go out to Cape Cod. Nope, frozen. I'm going to go out to, I'm going to go to South Jersey, frozen. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is the worst. So I'm trying to make the most of it this year. I'm actually trying to organize a trip to Florida, I think, for the winter.
Yeah, for sure.
See what I can do. I may have invited my wife accidentally. And for that, Nick, I apologize. But, it is what it is. If it gets me out of the house, that'll be fine. But let's talk. Now, one of my favorite things when it comes to fishing is kind of getting to know anglers and like how they hype themselves up. So like when you're going out to the water, spending a day, like you're going to sink a good chunk of a Saturday or something out there. What are you listening to get hyped up along the way?
It just depends on the mood.
Yep.
It literally depends on my mood. It changes.
I'm the same way. Like it will flip flop constantly. It could go from like Norwegian death metal to like last night I put on a playlist. And we'll talk about this in the main bulk of the show. But I'm a big fan of the fish whistle. And one of my favorite dispensaries up here released a strain I'm so happy is back called Jigglers. Because the show's Jigs and Bigs, I'm like, it's perfect. And it's like that just really good like 90s weed. So like I made a playlist of like Heavy D and the Boys, Belle Biv DeVoe, and Vogue, like all kinds of 90s stuff like that. And I'm like, this is great. It's like a time machine. Off topic entirely, but good stuff.
No, for sure.
Now, when you're out there, on a body of water, and either maybe it's a great day and you want to celebrate with a meal or something, and there is a notebook. I'm taking notes of like all the good spots in all these different states. Where's like the mom and pop joint that you're going to afterwards for like a late breakfast or lunch?
So that also depends on where we're at too. Like if you're Lake Eufaula, there's a place called I Smell Bacon. You know what I mean?
Sign me
up. You're in the Oklahoma City area, you find a Sunny Side Up diner, something like that. Of course, the small breakfast shops, the mom and pop breakfast shops they're the best. They're the best, especially the ones by the lake, because you can walk in there, you see the old guys. It's a different vibe. You know what I mean? You walk in. They're all fishermen, or they live there that lake that whole time.
Yep.
And, if they just want to chat, and so sometimes if you got time, you can just even sit there and talk with those old guys, and they'll spill the beans on where to fish, where it's hot, what to use, what not to use, and all that kind of stuff. So I love going to some small places like by the lake where you can sit there and chop it up with the old guys.
Definitely, and there is something that's called lake life, and that is. That extends into like the eateries and the local businesses and stuff like that. It's just as a kind of a different animal from when you're like, I live in the concrete jungle for the most part. You know what I mean? Like I am in a super urban area, and getting out, like when I was at St. Clair, I was like, I need this more times in my year than I get, go to a lake house, get out and, and fish like with just wild abandon, go and let it rip and see what happens. You got any bucket list bodies of water that you just absolutely need to hit?
Yeah, I definitely want to take one of those trophy trips down to Mexico.
Oh my God! Right.
Like any of them. I can't think of any of the names off the top of my head because there's quite a few. But it's like if I can get down there for a week. Yeah. Those guys are catching. Those guys are. A 5 or 6 is nothing. You know,
if it's not double digits, you're not trying.
Pounder of the day.
Yep.
Like oh wow, okay. You know what I mean? So that I definitely want to do one of those, and then probably extend it out to even go to South America and chase those gigantic peacocks. I think that would be insane. Also,
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I think that Mexico trip is for sure. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's got to happen. I'm like that's got to happen.
As far as other bodies of water that you have fished, because you've done some traveling too. What are some of the highlights? Like, what are some of your favorite lakes?
I'm going to say it wrong, but when I got stuck out, so originally I'm from San Diego.
Yep.
Right. And we went out there on a trip, and our truck actually broke down. So we had to stay at an RV park because we had the RV. We had to have it towed, and we stayed out there for like an additional 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh wow!
Extended the vacation. Yeah, it was a deal. It was an ordeal. But it was by Casillas Lake, and that's where Butch Brown was catching us. So I wasn't able to get onto a giant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just being out there, seeing that clear water, understanding more, and it was just beautiful because of the amount of history at that lake. So being out there, that's probably one of my best places. It was also right next to Six Flags. So the kids,
they got stuff to do.
Wife would take the kids to Six Flags, and I'd go fish.
That's
what I mean?
awesome.
We already had annual passes. Kind of worked out. Was the whole situation horrible? Absolutely, but everything kind of worked out. So that's my favorite place to go fishing. Cool. And anywhere in San Diego, honestly, when I go back to Southern California, the fishing's just different.
Yeah, I believe it.
All the times that I've been to Florida, I've not been able to fish in Florida besides the pond out in front of ICAST. That's
no
it.
kidding.
And I'm in Florida every single year.
No kidding. So, oh man, we're gonna have to schedule some kind of a trip or something to, sneak out, especially with so many fishy folks in one spot. There's got to be someone looking. Oh man, that's nuts. Everybody keeps asking. They're like, when's Jigs and Biggs going to go to ICAST? And I'm like, when Jigs and Biggs is going to go to ICAST? When ICAST decides to hire me to do a fishy game show. That's when Jigs and Biggs is going. I was like, everybody's going to report all the same stuff. We're just going to talk about it after the fact. It's fine. But I will definitely take the excuse to go to Florida for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I got to make time because, of course, so many people and they're like, well, come on. And, a lot of people don't understand when you go to these shows, like I'm there to work.
That's exactly it. Yeah. It's a job.
I'm there to work. They're like, oh, yeah, come hang out.
Yep.
And I guess because it's a lot of times they see it as maybe I'm just a creator just going out to help out at the booth. But it's like, no, I've been helping plan this booth for the last 4 to 6 months. Like I'm here to work. I'm not here to hang out, party, go fishing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here to work.
It's funny.
This is my job.
It's funny. I can relate. My business is I've been in the entertainment business for a while. I've got my own entertainment company, and I work with a company in England that makes a software platform that trivia hosts and game show hosts can utilize, and it's pretty. I think it's one of the most innovative things I've ever seen in the market. And there's a lot of like DJ expos that'll happen all over the place. So I've done events in Vegas and Atlantic City and stuff.
Oh wow!
And you're right, like. It's work. You go there and I'll be there for like 4 or 5 days. But sure, yeah, there's groups of people who you'll see and you might go out and have dinner or something like that. But and you would think with like a DJ expo, you're like, it's got to be just a
non-stop party.
Those guys and the pros are in different camps. Because day 2 comes around and the ones that hit it a little bit too hard earlier on, then I say that, but then there's like the Columbus Fishing Expo with Dark Horse Tackle. Dark Horse Tackle has been so gracious to involve Jigs and Biggs over at that show. And it's kind of a frat house, to be honest. Like it's kind of one of those things where it's nice to visit, but it's also nice to come home and be an adult afterwards,
Right.
It's insane. Yeah. Especially with some of these younger dudes. I'm like, I can't keep up. You guys want to go to the bar and you want to do, I'm like, I need to go knit.
Yeah. No. And, and the classic Red Cross, ICAST, I mean, they're the same way. A lot of people that Yeah, a lot of people are to the party, and I'd be lying if I was, because they'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna go to the Costa party or the Hook party or this party or that party."
It's sometimes
I'm like, dude,
you got to make it.
No, I got to get up at 6.
Yeah,
get the booth ready. You don't have to stroll until noon or whenever you wake up.
Yep.
You know, like, no, like,
yeah, it's true, man. That's, and I think at the end of the day, most people kind of get that that's how it really is. Like, at least the ones that are there at the shows. The people watching the content that gets created from it, that's a whole separate ball of wax. I mean, there's a million different, perceptions out there, but it's wild. Show season just in general is bananas. It is, but
it's insane.
iCast specifically, has to just be one of the ones where you get exposure to so much that's brand new to the market, and there's got to be a whole separate kind of excitement about that.
It is. It's completely separate, because me being to a lot of different major events, I get to experience that. And, they're like, well, grade it. I'm like, of course, the Classic's always going to be an A+.
Yeah.
iCast would be, Red Crest would be a C. But they're completely different audiences.
Yep.
Right? So I'm at the Classic. You probably saw all the crap going on with Cast King. We gave away like 2,000 rods. It was a freaking madhouse.
Yeah.
It was a freaking madhouse. I worked my behind off. Like, I get to interact with the Cast King fans and community. So like, they're like, oh, we love the brand. I love seeing that because I've been with them for so long.
Yep.
When people used to make fun of us, now everyone's like, oh no, I love it. This is all I use. And so seeing that's awesome, but it's also very wearing on me. So I have to talk and talk and talk and talk. iCast, it's different because it's all industry.
Yeah. You get a lot of people
more
who know
meaningful partnerships, conversations. It's just a different vibe, so you're hyping yourself up, and it's more like we need to make an impact on the industry versus we need to make an impact on the consumer.
Yep. Yeah. Totally different way of thinking.
Yeah. Oh, completely different. They're both great to be at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even Red Crest is awesome. Shout out to the MLF staff. They're amazing. I had full media credentials for Red Crest, and they treat you freaking awesome. So shout out to them, but it's all different, and you have to plan accordingly if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Now, if you're just trying to go out, hang out, party, meet people, hang out, then just go ahead.
Yeah.
Have fun. But when you're like, in the industry and you're like, all right, no, I need to not only do my stuff for Cast King, but also as Bait and Bougie, I need to go meet these people over here too and have these conversations. You just have to have that different mindset going into it.
How do you deal with the balance between the two? Like representing, the industry with Cast King and then also representing, the content side of it with Bait and Bougie. What's that balance like for you?
Oh, it's horrible. There is no balance.
Right.
It just does like this. But then it's also, I like the fact that I'm still waiting on the phone call. I'm still waiting on hey, you need to dial it back a little bit. Like,
that's pretty good though, that you're able to push it that far and they haven't said anything yet. That's pretty
because I keep it so separate. A lot of guys don't, and and I'm not talking trash if you brag about both ends, but I don't have content marketing manager in my bio. You know what I mean? For Cast King, I don't have. I have like my code. So if somebody says, "Hey, I want to buy," that's it. You would not even know. Like even when talking with you, you said you had no idea until I say something. So I keep it very separate.
Oh yeah.
And, so I like it. Like sometimes I like to be when they try to treat me like I'm the stupidest one in the room. Like, that's great. That's great. Like, I don't know shit.
Yeah. Because then you can get away with so much,
and I could see how people treat me.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. That's true.
So when I'm around a bunch of creators, right, and they're like, "Well, you don't know what it's like to be in the industry," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I don't know shit. I'm nobody. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything. And then like 2 days later, they'll be like, "Who's the Jose at Cast King that everyone says I need to talk to?" I'm like, "Oh, I wonder who he is." And at the same time, when I'm at the shows, like I was at iCast, maybe this is quite a long ago, and I'm not trying to sound any type of way, but the guy was like, he told me straight up because he was like, "I want to work with you." And I said, yeah. I kind of said, I was being nice about it. Like, hey, you need to build up your following a little bit more until we can kind of get on, for what you're wanting.
Yep.
And that's just being real.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, he said, "You don't know what it's like to have 7,000 followers." And I said, yeah, you're right. I don't, so, that's awesome. I'm not downing you. Amazing for building that community. But yeah, I don't, you're right. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so,
like
I just kind of leave it at that. Like, all right, bro. Like,
It's great. That's like the ultimate never let them know your next move type thing, It really is.
And a lot of it started out, so, BB in the military and stuff like that, when I was in charge of the brand ambassadors and they say, you can't grow on Instagram. You can't. It's hard. It's impossible. Yep. That's when I started to lock in on the short form content, and I started to grow so that when everyone comes to me and says, well, I want to be sponsored, like I want to get paid. Like, we all want to get paid. We all want to be sponsored.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you can't grow. And I'm like, well, here's my analytics. Yes, you can. You know what I mean? It's like, you can. It's there. The possibility is there. So don't say you can't. And that's kind of where I was. So I was like kind of showing them, hey, it can happen. It can happen. You just have to find your niche. You have to find out what works, what you enjoy doing.
And, I think that, we'll talk content a little bit here. I think that I recently this week had a situation where I posted a short on YouTube, and it was something that I also had posted on Instagram, and it just freaking took off. Like, got a ton of views, way more. It was like the second most watched short on my channel, on the Jigs and Bigs channel. And I got a comment from, it was only one comment for the entire thing, which was kind of surprising for as many views that it had. One comment from just an absolute hater. An absolute hater. In fact, I think he tried to use the I think the comment read something to the effect of like, oh, this guy is, exactly what I don't like to see in fishermen, can't catch shit and, catches small fish and then gets like it's the fish's fault or whatever. And I was kind of playing up, like riffing off of our nationwide multi-species scavenger hunt. This happened May the 1st. So we were a brand new month and I was looking for a rock bass and I caught one and I'm like, 24 hours ago, if you would have been a minimum of 8 inches, I could have entered you in that scavenger hunt, but now nothing. I released him and he kind of went on this whole tear. And I was delighted that I got a hater comment. I was tickled. I'm like, yes, because it does not matter. You know what I mean? You can't internalize that. And sometimes like the stuff that does well is not what you want to do well. Which like
100%.
And you can't make it personal, like you got to just kind of learn from it. How are some ways that you've kind of learned along the way to like, kind of like, okay, this is working, this is not working, and how to lean into things?
So it's constantly changing. That's the thing about the algorithm. It is constantly changing. Whatever I made 2 years ago does not work now, so it's always looking and seeing what is working with outside of fishing, other genres, and it's doing well. And then you're like, oh, all right, I could do something similar. I could twist it and make sure it's towards mine. Yeah. Like right now, people are really leaning into, for followers, not necessarily views, but for followers, like the storytelling, taking people out on your day. They want to see everything like, oh, hey, guess what we're doing today? We're going to go buy some lotto tickets and then I'm going fishing, like stupid shit like that. People freaking love, and what people would normally think is trivial or stupid. A lot of people, it's almost like the documentation versus the creation. Now, of course, the meme stuff, the short stuff, the funny stuff, that's always going to pop off. Sure. And if somebody wants to grow fast, that's where you kind of have to lean. But I'm at the point now where I don't give a shit because I have enough of a following. I have enough of the community. So now I can start making the stuff that I want to create. Yep. It's not going to get millions of views. I'm not going to make thousands of dollars off of views. Yeah. But it's what I enjoy and rather make because it's also more in line with me and working with companies. Yeah. And you said something there that I love. You use the phrase, the term community. And I think that that's really important because at the end of the day, like while we are all individual like media entities in a way, to whatever scale you want to look at it, we're all creating and we're putting stuff out there for people to consume and enjoy. It is a community. And there's like one of our good friends at the show, Becca Yassine, is a huge friend of mine, and she's awesome. And she's one of the YouTubers out there that I think has done it really, truly the right way. Like I was just out fishing with her and I was talking to her. I was like, you're one of the few creators that I know that doesn't get destroyed in the comments about all kinds of stuff. And she is painfully authentic.
And I think that's really, really important. And that's kind of says something about her content. But she said to me, she was like, I do get roasted in the comments. She's like, it's usually after that video's been up for a few months. And like the subscribers have seen it and the community is like, they've laid in. And then you all get the randos that are just like, look, your sailboat back, you rip the door off of your cap on your truck because of the sail. You're an idiot. You don't even know how to back up a trailer or whatever. You know what I mean? And she's like, it's there, but she's like, the community that I've got is super supportive. And I feel like if you start, instead of looking at that number of followers, look at the quality of followers.
Yes.
How connected how connected are they to you? You know, what's the real engagement like? Like that is, you take, 1,000 followers and, there 900 of them are like, either in your DMs, in the comment section, liking and sharing your stuff, or you've got like 100,000 bots that are doing nothing but following you. Like, what's more effective if you want sponsorship?
Or even you got to look at, you have to build your own brand.
Yeah.
You have to, whether you're a creator, whether you're in the media business, even if you're a professional angler, you have to create your own brand. So, God forbid something happens with casting and they're like, hey, you're a piece of shit, you're out of here.
Yeah.
At least I still have Bait and Bougie.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Versus if I have one without the other, then, I'm freaking cooked if I don't. So you have to have that brand because, castings, of course, they've been great to me and they've been around a long time, but a lot of companies come and go.
Oh, yeah.
They come and go, especially with, these private equity firms buying everyone up and cutting pro staffs and cutting sponsorships. Here today, gone tomorrow. A lot of the people that we picked up were because they were just dumped by their other companies.
Yeah.
It's like, so you have to build your brand. You have to build those bridges and have that strong community behind you. If you don't have a community, you're just a commodity. And, they're a dime a dozen nowadays.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. It's just, it's crazy. I find that there's so many people that are just so focused on that subscriber count, that follower count, and there's so much more to it, and
there is.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are you like? What are we thinking? Like Bait and Bougie is going to look like in like the future? Is there a plan moving forward? Is there a platform you're leaning toward, or what is your most successful platform?
It's Instagram right now.
Yep.
So Instagram. Like 64K.
Yep.
And but Facebook reached out and was like, hey, can you start posting your old stuff to Facebook for something called the breakout bonuses? So they're paying big. I think I made $7 on Instagram last month.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, but you know what I mean? Good thing I don't depend on that. I'm not dependent on that as income.
Yep.
But it's going crazy. I think it hasn't even been a month yet. And I went from 2,000 to 17,000 on Facebook.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. It hasn't even been 30 days yet. Cause I've had phone calls with them. They email me and they're like, just post your old stuff. Like just, schedule it out. If you want to create new stuff, great. Here's the guidelines and, we'll give you X amount of money bonus if you do X amount of posts. And so that's just, yeah, I mean that's taking care of my mortgage and then some this month. It's going crazy. It's going well. But you want to talk about bad comments? I mean, I don't even respond to the comments.
Oh yeah, Facebook. You can't.
Dude, I don't even look at them. Me and you've met him. Hoosier State Fishing.
Derek? Oh yeah. Yep.
We'll send screenshots of like the worst comments we'll get. I've been called every name in the book, every derogatory term you could think of. I've been called it.
There is, we had a guest on the show, the Stream Queen, Caitlin Conte.
Oh, yeah.
And she gave a great tip when it came to negative comments. She goes, find the worst one you can. Like the one that's just like, this is like cancelable. Like she's like, find the worst one, pin it.
Yes, that's what I do.
Yeah, and she's like, what'll happen is the community that's there for you will go and in on that comment, and that's just going to build more engagement. And I'm like, that is brilliant, Caitlin. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. If someone calls me something really nasty or says something really, really bad,
way off base. Yeah. That's the way to do it.
Then I play dumb too in the comments. Like in my replies.
Oh yeah.
Because they'll be like, you need to learn how to fish. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like you're 100% correct.
Sometimes that's the best way to handle it is just to kind of like keep them talking, That's awesome, man. Yeah. I don't know if people realize that the shell of an ego that Bobby Roast Beef has is so fragile that I haven't had much for like really terrible comments or anything. I have, we just haven't necessarily gone there. But I'm sure that day is going to come, and that's I'm looking forward to doing exactly that. Like just, well, I guess you're right,
Yeah.
Oh well.
Like one person was like, "This is the dumbest post. Get off Facebook right now." And I was like, "Okay, sir, logging off of Facebook." You know what I mean?
There you go. Deletes account. I love it.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my goodness. So let's dive into a couple of good stories here.
All right.
That's what the cornerstone of really what Jigs and Bigs is really all about. Is all about fishing stories, and we try to spotlight anglers from wherever they are in the spectrum of the world of fishing. What I'm looking for from you, Jose, are two stories. I'm looking for the one that like if you were at an event like a wedding or something, and you go up to the bar and somebody says, "Oh yeah, I've seen you on Instagram. You like to fish." Like, what's that fishing story you're going to share with them first? The lead one could be something like a PB. It could be something wild that happened on the water that was just unbelievable. But then the other story that I want, and I think it's maybe a little bit more of a challenge because we have so many of these. I want the biggest, like the biggest flop.
The biggest. Okay. All right. So to lead off with the question, normally it's like a, you hear this a lot, and especially in not just the veteran community, but in a lot of communities, like fishing helped me so much with being in the outdoors. I mean, you hit the fish whistle a few times, you're out there in nature.
For sure.
I mean, you could just talk to whoever I could talk to my dad. I could, you know what I mean? It's just amazing. That's the first and only times that I like to be almost in my own thoughts.
Yep.
Normally if it's here, I got to stay busy. Like when I start talking crazy to myself, I'm like, all right, no. Let me clean something. Let me do something, go create a video, do something.
Yeah.
But when I'm out there and it's just dead, it's just nice. So that's why I like to tell them, like, oh, why do you fish so much? I'm like, is it about catching the fish? Sometimes it's just about being out there.
Yeah. 100%.
Even, a lot of stuff that I do with veterans and veteran tournaments and things like that. I took one guy out and I said, hey, let's switch out your bait there. You're not getting any bites. And he looked at me and he said, I can care less if I catch a fish, man. He's like, I'm just like being out here and talking to you. So you know what I mean? So that's amazing to me. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's what about community, being out fishing. That's what it's about, making those type of impacts.
That's so funny, man, because that's exactly why I went and bought a boat, was because I love going out and fishing, like whether I'm on the bank or I'm in my kayak, that's great. But when I can take somebody out with me, and spend some time on the water and get them, the best is when they've never fished before. And I'm like, get on the boat. Let's go. We'll go and we'll see what we can do. And then they start catching it. And I'm like, this is amazing. But like, then I'll fish with other folks too. And it's just the camaraderie. It's amazing. It's my favorite part of fishing. Yeah,
absolutely. Being out there with the different people. And then you kind of realize like whether they're media, whether they're creator, whether they're, fishing at the top level. I mean, shoot, we're all just regular ass dudes at the end of the day. We just want to hang out. And we got the same
hobby,
same shit we're going to laugh about, same sense of humor, or, people are just like, it's so humbling of an experience.
Oh yeah. We really do have way more in common than I think and most people give themselves credit for. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. 100%.
Now, what about the biggest epic fail?
I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a fail, but like a story I like to tell, because obviously that everyone watches this that knows who I am. Like, of course, do I dance the line? Do I toe the line? Sure. Do I cross it every once in a while? Not in a way that's going to get me canceled.
No.
No, but like I'm not doing like racist jokes or doing anything too crazy. But one story that I like to talk about, this was years ago, and we're good friends. But he's on the marketing team for Bass Pro Shop. Right?
Oh, okay.
And so we met one day at we're in the lobby just hanging out, having a beer, and he comes up to, or we mutual friends introduce us, and he's kind of staring at me. And he's like, no, you create content too, don't you? And I think at that time I was only like around 10, 12K.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I show him my account. He's like, oh, no way. Like we just start chatting and laughing. He's like, you know, you came up in one of our meetings before. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, we'd never work with you, but you came up. So I'm like, you know, at the same time, I'm like, damn, I came up at $10 billion corporations meetings. They would never work with me, but I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm trying to do.
You hear that come from some folks sometime when they say, like, the fact that my name was brought up in that circle, like I made a splash enough that they noticed it. Like there's a big compliment there. That's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I'll never be cookie cutter because that's not what got me to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, you know, it's the fact that I was brought up and then he was like, yeah, we would, you know, they would never work with you ever. Not like that's fine with that. That's fine with me, you know, like that's cool. At least I was brought up.
It's so funny. I have a friend that's in the industry, and I struggle with this all the time with Jigs and Bigs. Like, so Jigs and Bigs got started in 2020, and at the time, it was a very new concept. Fishing entertainment forward. We talk fishing, but we're not breaking down specific bits of technique,
technical,
you know, in a long form sort of thing. Like we have, there's little tidbits here and there that you'll pick up, but it's about entertainment. It's about community. It's about, you know, it's a unique sort of thing because when I started, for me, it was, I'm interested in fishing. I'm starting to get a little bit more proficient doing this, but I want to selfishly learn more from other folks by having a dialogue. So that's sort of where things happen. And we're in a different sort of situation now where we're running 3 different types of tournaments, nationwide, online CPR style tournaments. We've done live events. We've done, I mean, all sorts of different stuff. We've raised money for some really great organizations. And I mean, we're like 5 years into it now. And it's no big, like, I say this all the time. There are a good number of Jigs and Bigs inspired podcasts that are out there now. And sometimes it gets in my head a little bit. And I'm like, you know, is it maybe because of the type of content that we create? Like I said, Armando over at Bass Kayak and Beers had dubbed me as like the Howard Stern of fishing, of bass fishing podcasts. I'm like, man, is that a good thing? Am I alienating myself from potentially actually turning this into my retirement plan? Because that's what I would love, you know? And I asked a friend of mine about if we were like, if there was any talk in the industry, and they were like, I don't think you have to worry. And I was like, really? And I don't know if that means that we're not a blip on the radar and that we are just doing what we're doing and it's all good. Or if that other podcasts are the negative, but like the ones that, well, we'd never work with you. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that I kind of like struggled with. Have you ever had a moment like that where you were like, the hell am I doing? Or are you just all in, like, I'm doing this is my brand, and you're just sticking to it?
A little bit of both. You know, I'd be lying if I said I didn't ever second guess what I'm doing. You know, and I think the biggest thing is, like you said, getting in your own head. And I stop looking at what other people are doing. Yeah. Because then I know it. I see a lot of people emulate my style, especially with the shortcuts that I was doing back in the day, where it would be like one thing and then it would cut to like a funny clip. Yep. Like, I'm not going to say that I started that, but I'm the one that made it. I know I'm the one that made it super, super popular with that shit. For sure. So a lot of people were emulating that. And I was like, oh, it's horrible. And then, you know, like I said, it kind of got to a point where it was like, the memes, of course, like I said, it gets the views, but that's not what I'm happy to do. And at the same time, it's all about balance, man. It's hard to balance that crap out because, of course, I want to be true to myself and what got me to where I'm at. Yep. But yeah, you know, of course, I have to make that turn. But it's also with companies, they're surprised when they do see me serious and that I can talk on camera and I can do stuff behind the camera also. Like well, if you look up the casting stuff, I mean, I'm on a lot of those videos doing the technical stuff. So even with you, like I've followed you guys for a while, you know.
Oh yeah,
a long time. So I've always been a fan of yours because it is different, and not saying the technical stuff isn't important. Of course, that's important, but it's also got its time and place. But as far as like the entertainment value, I mean, that's always got to be there.
Yeah,
and it's always you can mix both, but you know, it's also what value are you bringing to your audience?
You nailed it. Like that is something that you got to take into consideration. Like, and whether it be a few laughs, you know, when like maybe you're not getting out on the water as much as you wish you could, you know what I mean? But you can at least feel that connection to the community through some content, something like that. No, that's a really good point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jose, this was absolutely awesome, dude. Absolutely fantastic, man. This is great.
Thanks.
We should connect. I am planning on doing as much. I'm planning on devising a way to go out and just take the boat and just travel and hit up multiple spots. There's talk right now where I'm actually trying to get out to Northern California. So if that's the case, it's just the drive alone is going to be insane. So I'm going to be taking my time out that way. And my wife and I are hoping to put together a trip to Oklahoma City. Because we are huge fans of the Flaming Lips. I don't know if you're familiar. They're a pretty big, like, alternative kind of jammy band from Oklahoma City. They've been around since like the early 80s.
Yes.
And we see them usually 2 or 3 times a year. And we're like, you know, we should really go because they have to play in Oklahoma. That's where they're from. Like, just to check that one off. And I was like, can I bring the boat? They played right on the shores of Lake Champlain last summer, and we went, and I was like, I'm taking the boat. You know, I'm taking the boat. And it was amazing. And my wife was like, yeah, she's like, we'll do that. When we go see him in Oklahoma City, we'll go. So when I'm down in Oklahoma, I'm hitting you up for sure. And we're going to.
Oh, absolutely. I live in a suburb of Oklahoma City. So Perfect. I'm right here.
Beautiful, man. We'll make that happen. Do me a favor, Jose, and send me a picture of you just holding an absolute tank. And I'll use it for the cover artwork.
Okay, for sure.
And go ahead, let folks know if they're not already following you, let them know where they can find you for your content and any information if they have questions about casting or anything where they can hit you up.
So, like I said, I'm mainly active on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So bait _N_bougie, or you can look up Jose Cinco and it'll pop up. So that there, you can follow me on Facebook also. Like I said, the comments are horrible on Facebook, so I'm not too active seeing what's going on.
Yep.
But if you want to message me there, also, I do have my own creative agency, pretty much for tax write-off purposes, right? We have this content creation. So I got a kind of that. So companies do reach out to me or other creators, not in the fishing industry, even outside of the fishing industry, that are like, hey, we need some direction, brand building, things like that. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, let's talk. So that's jcinco@fishwithintent.com.
Cool.
And so you can email me there. If you guys have questions on growth, branding, creativity, finding your niche, I'm always willing to help and have conversations on that too.
That's awesome, man. That's freaking unbelievable. Jose, this is absolutely great, dude. An absolute pleasure to have you on the show. We will for sure be in touch, man. And this episode is actually going to drop late tonight, like about 8 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
We'll be recording the bulk of it. You know what I'll do? I will send you a link to the Patreon exclusive StreamYard, the live stream, so you can chime in if you want. If you can join us, awesome. That'd be great. Otherwise, it'll be out on all platforms later tonight.
Sweet.
Awesome,
dude. Looking forward to that, man. Thanks for having me.
I love it. Take care, Jose. Have a great one.
All right, brother. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Grab that big one first, will you? Bro, we killed it today.
Goddamn, he's a motherfucking beast. Shit. He got more fight now than when we hauled him in.
Watch it. Don't let him jump out of the tub. We lose him and it's over.
Relax, bitch. I got him. You get the scale ready. We're taking this one home, no doubt.
Hi there. Welcome to the Live Well, where we crack open a ramp beer and attempt to answer all of your burning questions.
Alrighty, guys. guys, here we are. It's the live well. The very first time we're doing the live well here, guys, in our last segment. We have a couple of things that came in through the survey and some folks actually just sending us some DMs, inquiring about topics that they want to know about. And today, we're doing 2. We may stick to doing multiple if they're there, but anytime we have a question that we can go over, we're going to put it in this segment right here to kind of give a little bit more value, a little bit more weight in this here. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about it. Our first question, Joe, and I hope you're ready for this. We're going to do the fishing one first, and then we'll do the fun one second. Okay.
Let's do it.
So what I would say is the first one comes from Brandon White, past guest of the show, YP the God. He says, he goes, so I was out getting follows on a black jig with a white grub trailer, swimming it and dragging it. I changed the trailer to chartreuse and still only getting follows. What would you do next? Change the jig or change the trailer again?
Downsize.
So
I would downsize, or if they're following it, there's something about that they're not liking. So I would either downsize the jig a little bit or the trailer. Maybe it's a little bit too big of a profile, or same thing. I would put on like a drop shot or something like that. Something that's slow to mimic like bait fish or something like that.
So I was actually going to say there's a couple of different things here. There's a little bit more information that would definitely be helpful in there. What kind of jig are we talking about? Are we talking about a bass jig that's got a skirt? Because sometimes just eliminating that skirt, changing the jig, that could be one thing. I wouldn't say I am with you in your camp that downsizing overall is the way to go. I would consider, if you're gonna change the grub, because I'll be honest, in my school of thought, color is generally the last variable. I think
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
Black's tough though. So there's a couple. So when you talk black, like something as easy as I'm a big proponent of, and I'm going to catch a bunch of shit for this. Color's not as big as of a factor as people think. It's more of like shades of colors versus actual colors, and just like, you know what I mean? But maybe it's the fact that it's black because it's so far on the spectrum.
So the jig is black. The trailer was white, and then he changed to chartreuse.
Okay. So white and chartreuse on the spectrum of fish are the same. Basically, they see it the same exact way.
Yeah.
Essentially. Black is a little bit different. I haven't read up on this a little bit, but I do recall that white and chartreuse show up in a fish's eye pretty damn similar.
Then they're both just bright, just in general,
It's it. Yeah, you're dark and bright. Think of it that way. Don't think, you gotta think of it that way. But that would have been my knee jerk thing, is especially if it's a larger fish or whatever, or any fish. I would have first thing I do is maybe downsize. Like maybe even like, again, is it I'm going off of this as like a standard like brush jig. You know what I mean? That's in my mind. I'm going off. It's a standard brush jig. You could slow it down, keep it in its face a little longer. You can just kind of hold it there, small little tiny twitches versus jerks and, hops. Just sliding it versus, hopping it, just dragging it. But my thing would be, I'd probably, if I was throwing that thing multiple times, it was just following it. It's obviously interested. It's interested in eating. But if it's not wanting a jig, but it's following it, sorry, I got sidetracked by a thing over there. A comment. It's hungry. So if it's following, it's hungry. It's just not hungry for what you have. So your best bet to get that fish to bite is completely change up your profile of what you're fishing for. And I'm sure Bobby's seen that like firsthand or whatever. If it doesn't want a jig, most likely changing the color maybe the size will help, but changing the color is not going to help. That's where it might be. You got to kind of slow it down, different profile. Nothing beats that better than giving it some kind of natural like bait fish, like profile, something, that type of, so like a drop shot or even a jerk bait, something like that.
I think of terms like this. When you are fishing, what's the easiest thing that you can change first? Your cadence. You don't have to tie anything on there. You don't have to tie anything different. Your cadence can be a big deal. Without having to cut something off and retie or take the time to do that, like changing your cadence, slowing down. But like he said, he was swimming it and also dragging it, and he was still getting follows. Yeah. I would think, and again, like he made a color change, but he kind of made a lateral move with color. One thing that often gets overlooked is action. Like, is that action of that, and like a grub trailer is going to have kind of a subtle action. It's narrow in the movement, the way it kind of twists and wiggles the tail as you're moving it through the water, but it is still a good amount of motion. Maybe putting something on like a TRD. Something that's just like dead in the water, or a chunk, that's got less action. So like you'll see this a lot of times where I've got a good example right here. This is a J-Bros Double Trouble. It's a Ned bait that they make. And I like using these on my like finesse bladed jigs. I rig them like this, but it's meant to be fished on a jig head. And these tails, because they don't have any curvature to them, they don't have the action that works with. Now, I'm not saying that like, oh yeah, you could catch this fish if you threw this bait, but even without the tail, like if you were to just say, I need something real subtle, just that little stub plastic on the back could be enough to get bit, where it's more subtle, and that's what's going to get it done. I think the fact that you were both dragging and swimming says something. I have to wonder how shallow the water was where he was.
Yeah, there's a lot of different variables to take in here. We're obviously not on the water with you, but that's my take. My take would be put something in there a little bit more bait fish like, because it's obviously interested in it for some, but it also could be, are we talking during the spawn? Could this have been a bed fish where it's just making sure that whatever that is not coming back to its bed?
I think this was early this year. This was like only in the last month that he left that. And
so that thing wanted to eat, Jersey. Just not that.
I think also like one of these would be great too, a fluke.
Exactly. Yep. 100%.
Absolutely will do the job. Just rig it, Texas rig it, weedless, pop this sucker in there, let it sit. And then, if I like to use 5/0 hooks when I use these because they're heavier. And they'll get on the bottom and you can just kind of drag them a little bit along the way. Like I would say that is what I would consider, like, even before you even go and change color, like I would dumb down that bait as much as possible. And in doing so, most likely you're going to end up downsizing that profile as well.
No matter what it is. Yeah.
What do we got? Zach chimes in. He says, I usually prioritize variables in fishing like this: water column, action, size, color. That's very, very accurate. And I have a feeling that where he was pretty shallow. Brandon is primarily a bank angler. And if he was seeing follows, I'll bet you he was pretty close. This fish was coming up pretty close enough to see, for him to be pretty shallow. So I would definitely say, like, yeah, for sure. Definitely. I would say, if nothing else, changing out the plastic's the easiest change versus tying something else on. But I would say, go with something that's more subtle and downsized, and then you'll probably get that fish to really commit. And don't be afraid either to sit there and especially if you're not in like a tournament situation, you're like, I'm not wasting time on this one fish, whatever. I gotta catch fish that are actually going to eat. But if you're out there and you have a situation where you've got follows and you're noting that, say, okay, so what am I doing? Let's make one change. Okay, what's the reaction there? It's not happening. Okay, so let's make a different change. So let's say he didn't change from white to chartreuse. Let's say he went white to like green pumpkin. All right. And it was still the same thing. Then you've got a light color and a more natural color. Still the same thing. Okay, so let's take that same idea. We know that it's the color isn't the difference. Let's change size profile. So yeah, throw a Ned, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a situation I'll bet you where like a Ned probably would have just been like, oh yeah, sure. Stupid Ned, or like a tube, you know? Real subtle.
Yep.
Real subtle.
Yep.
Next question, and he's in here right now, comes from Eli Self. Eli, I'm expecting you to put your answer into this in the chat as well, and all the jig heads who are here. There's a handful of you that are in here. Eli asks, best on the water snack and drink. On the water snack and drink, yeah.
So for me, I always have 2 drinks. I have usually my iced coffee.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew you were saying that.
And then my Gatorades, dude.
Gatorade, okay.
So water Gators. It depends if it's going to be a hotter day.
Yeah.
I'll put Gatorade just for the electrolytes. Otherwise, I'll just throw in water there. For snacks, I usually have 2 different ones on there. I'll do like a honey bun. Right.
Oh, that's classic, dude.
Yep. So something like that, some kind of pastry like that, most likely like a honey bun. Taylor, if Taylor was on, he'd tell you I ate 1,000 of those this week. But that and like beef sticks, dude. But not like, dude. I'm not talking like Slim Jims or something like that. I'm talking like the good beef sticks. A bag of it. And like the carnivore snacks, like something like that. Something I can get some. My favorite are
Epic.
No, I get them local. Iowa Steakhouse.
Oh, dude, yes.
Yeah.
Did you get them from Tractor Supply?
Yeah. So either there or Clem's Tractor. Like it's a local place. But those I love. The jalapeno cheddar one, like it's one of my faves. But so yeah. So I'll usually do those because it's easy, because I suck at eating while I'm fishing. So I'm so, especially during like tournaments, whatever, I'm so hyper focused. So that's my way. The honey bun is like, there's a little bit of reason behind it. The honey bun, they'll give me like that sugar intake that I need. And then later on, like as the day goes on, those beef sticks are giving me calories and protein to keep me going.
Yeah. And a little bit of fat to satiate. That's not a bad thing.
Exactly.
So mine is a little bit different. I like to go with like a 1999 Chianti. Something that's like, easy drinking, not too much. And I like to go with a nice sous vide double thick pork chop. I'm just kidding, obviously. No, my snacks and drinks are interesting. So if I'm fishing a long day, I don't bring shit on the water. Todd Sefton knows this. As far as, I'm not saying like I don't bring shit on the water like for drinks or anything like that. I don't bring shit on the water for food. I don't want to put anything in my body at all. I'm not looking to shit on an island. You know what I'm saying? If I can avoid it.
That's scary.
And I'm just like, so I rather like be up way earlier than needed, make sure that everything is fucking cleaned out and we're ready to go. And when I get on the water, and that's why I will usually have a feast after I'm done fishing. But I will say that if I am going to have like a snack on the boat, like just as like a little bit of a treat, like some of the folks that I fish with, like my buddy Eric loves to bring like those like little like Hostess donuts and stuff on the boat and shit like that. So there was one time, like the first time we went out, he's like, oh dude, I ordered a bunch of wings from last night. I got all these fucking buffalo wings.
Oh, I can't. That's flirting with the devil right there.
Yeah. It's a bad idea. And I was like, and I my willpower is amazing. It's amazing. But I will tell you, there is nothing better than a double-decker Little Debbie oatmeal cream pie. Yes.
Oh, those are so good.
Bobby Roast Beef does, in fact, like to get a cream pie on the old implication. And they're pretty good. They are a treat. Like they're fucking 500 calories, but like if you need a bunch of calories and a nice sugar spike, that's going to do it for you. 100%. They get a little bit melty in the sun, which is no good. And I got to tell you, there's nothing more that I enjoy as a drink on the water than a nice crisp Diet Coke. Like, I think, like, right out of the cooler is just perfect. It is awesome. I am a big Polar Seltzer fan as well. So, like, I'll bring those out. I drink a ton of water. I have 2 Nalgene bottles that I fill up every day, and I go through those. Depending on how long I'm out there, like, lots of times I'm only going out for, like, 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours maybe. If it's under 4 hours, I won't necessarily bring the cooler. I'll bring like a couple of, like a bottle of seltzer or something with me, and then that's it. And I definitely won't bring a snack if that's the case. I do like for my meat sticks, because I do like to, for longer days where I've got the time, I do like, what is it? The Dukes. The Dukes brand Hot Links. Like there's the Hatch Green Chili. Yep. Man, they're so good, dude. They are so good. And they keep well, and they're fantastic. And that's exactly it. A little bit of fat, a little bit of protein, some salt, which is important, because it'll help keep you hydrated. And I would say like the major one, like if I'm bank fishing, I don't like to carry snacks. Sunflower seeds. Of whichever variety. Oh, okay. I like the cracked black pepper and the Old Bay. Those are my 2 favorite flavors, and they're pretty freaking fantastic. Let's go through these comments because there's some good ones in here. So, first off, let's go back. John Hagen's goes back to question number 1. He goes, I would move down the bank and cast back to that spot, remove myself as the variable. Bank fishermen are spooky to fish. That's very, very true. So as far as snacks, Metal Jones says water, grapefruit, hard-boiled eggs. Okay. All right. Fair enough. John Hagen says dew and water and pretzel sticks. Pretzel sticks are always good. You got to get that salt. A lot of people forget that salt. Zach says, once I got salt and vinegar eggs, mistake. I just coming back from St. Clair, I picked up a big jar of these Kogel's pickled Red Hots. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to bring those on the boat for boat snack. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
Terrible idea. Diet Coke gives me the foam burps. Gross. Love the taste. Can't handle the burps. Fair enough. And then John says, you can't forget the Busch Light and hot dogs. You can't. You need those. Oh, and Dukes are great. I concur. Zach says, nice. Yeah, I mean, Eli, what's your go-to snack? Is he even in here? Did he disappear? Is he going to have to listen to this tomorrow? He might have disappeared.
Yeah.
It might be after his bedtime. I don't know. Although maybe he's like putting together like an Instacart order right now, and he's like, I need all these snacks. That's what I need. So yeah, I think that's pretty badass. So not too bad. We got ourselves a little bit of a mailbag segment in here in the live well. And when you guys hear this show back, you're gonna love that intro because I think it came out great. I think it came out fantastic.
It did.
You got anything you want to wrap up this sucker with, Joe?
No, man, that's it. I appreciate you guys. Again, go check out our YouTubes. Subscribe, helps us out, helps the channel grow. We appreciate you guys. Share the shit. Like if you get any ounce of entertainment or education out of any of our videos or the podcast, definitely go ahead, send that shit and share it with your friends. It does. It makes all the difference in the world. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate the jig heads who are in here and hung out with us all the way through this entire journey. We will see you guys in 7 days with more jigs and bigs goodness. Folks, we have so much lined up. The year is just getting kicked off. I've got guests on guests on guests for the beef seat. I've got some really, really surprising guests too that I think you're absolutely going to enjoy.
by all means, if there's anything you have questions of or anything, feel free to reach out on social media. We're available at Jigs and Bigs and American Vet Fishing. Feel free to, send any questions our way. We're glad to, or if you have suggestions as well, we're open to that too. Hit the comments section hard. Go for that. You're going to get our attention for sure that way, and you're helping engage what we're trying to do, and that's just kind of grow this whole steam train of fishing content entertainment. That's what we're all here for. Big shout out and thank you to Jose for joining us for this week's show. Pretty badass, man. Go give Bait and Bougie a follow right now. Odds are most of you probably are already following him, so I mean this is no surprise, but I hope you got some enjoyment out of that interview. We will see you right back here in 7 days with more Jigs and frickin' Bigs goodness. Like we always say.
Tits and ass, smoke some grass.